Right, we'll just bring that one to a quick conclusion, and it's a very warm welcome along to our independent off-tube studio commentary of the first quarter-final from the 2022 World Cup, and it's a heavyweight contest between 2018 finalists Croatia and five-time winners Brazil. Many people's favourites to go all the way and lift the trophy for the first time in 20 years, and for a record extending sixth occasion as well. It's myself, Tom McGarry, and James Mason that will be talking you through today's coverage. The match has just got underway at the Education City Stadium in Al Rayyan. Croatia, in their traditional red and white checks, are going from left to right in this first half, and Brazil as well in their distinctive yellow shirts with blue shorts and socks and the green trim as well. It's a mouth-watering contest then between these two heavyweights of the world game. And James, many people think Brazil, they're the favourites going into this, being tipped by many to go all the way, but you cannot underestimate Croatia.
No, you can't. I think Croatia continue to defy expectations. I think they exceeded what people thought of them in the 2018 World Cup when they got to the final, and I think they've done well to get this far as well in the competition. I think they were going in slightly under the radar. I think coming into Qatar, I thought they still had a decent starting 11, but there was the worry about some of their key players maybe being over the hill slightly. Of course, Modric is getting on, and then Lovren as well, but those two have been really crucial to what they've done in this tournament so far. So it'll be interesting. It's a difference of styles. I think Brazil, obviously, we know the attacking threat they've got. They haven't really been tested defensively yet in terms of their sort of strongest 11. Obviously in the Cameroon game it was a much changed side, and I think it's, you could sort of gloss over the fact they lost that one, but I think in this one it's the strongest 11. But I think Croatia, they will give them a good stern test. That midfield is a big role I think that's going to play in this one for Croatia. If Kovacic, Modric, Brozovic, if they can win that battle in midfield, then it's going to put pressure on a Brazil defence that haven't been under pressure so far.
Yeah, this is a Brazil team, a lot has been made about their attacking quality, but if they can't get hold of the ball and win that midfield battle, then they could be in for a tough 90 minutes, perhaps 120 minutes and penalties as well. As Croatia won themselves a free kick in a relatively dangerous area. It's been worked short to Luka Modric, who will lift the ball into the box, headed comfortably clear by Casemiro. As James mentioned, there's a few players on each team that could potentially be playing in their final international match, certainly at a major tournament. You look at Luka Modric in the Croatia lineup, Dejan Lovren as well. Brazil, you've got Thiago Silva in that back line, potentially even Neymar at 30 could be playing in his last World Cup at the very least. Croatia again look to come forward with Juranovic of Celtic down the right hand side. He fizzes it into Modric, who has his pocket picked and actually fouls Richarlison as well on the edge of the Brazilian penalty area. 3 minutes on the clock then. Decent enough start though from Croatia, and that is going to be key. If they can win that midfield battle and stop Brazil getting on the ball, then they could have a real effect on the game.
Yeah, I think it's, similarities in the game plan for Croatia is similarities in how England have to approach France in that final quarter-final. I think if you win the midfield battle and you press high up, you're high up the pitch and win the ball in good positions, then, you limit the danger, or you try and nullify the threat that your opposition has got in the final third.
Vinicius Junior looking to get Brazil going forward down the left-hand side. He's got support coming his way from Danilo. Again, in at left back today, Alexandro is back amongst the substitutes. He's had a hip injury, the Juventus player, the regular left back, if you like, in this Brazil team. The other left back in the squad, Alex Telles, has been ruled out with injury, so Danilo, more often seen as a right back, is filling in at the moment, as Vinicius' attempted cross from the left is blocked at source. It comes back to the Real Madrid man, who gets the first strike towards goal from either side in this game. A sighter, if you like, but a very routine save for Dominik Livakovic in the Croatia goal.
Yeah, routine, but Croatia, they can't allow that lack of press when the ball was switched over to Vinicius Junior, and then Juranovic just stopped. He stopped on the edge of his penalty area to try and block the cross, but you think, get out to Junior. Don't allow him to have that, space and time to try and pick out a cross into the box.
Rafinha there trying to thread the ball through to Vinicius Junior once more. Vinicius very much an outlet in these opening exchanges for Brazil. Pass though from Rafinha, a little overhit. It will be a goal kick to the side in red and white. It gives me an opportunity as well to run you through the starting 11s. If you missed the team news ahead of kick-off, 2 changes for Croatia. Borna Sosa back at left back and Mario Pasalic preferred in the final third. A bit more of a defensive play, if you like, than the man he's replaced, Bruno Petkovic. So it's Livakovic in goal for Croatia, Juranovic, Lovren, Gvardiol and Sosa the back 4, Modric, Brozovic and Kovacic the midfield 3, and Pasalic and Perisic supporting Andrej Kramaric up front for Brazil. Unchanged, as I mentioned, from that victory over South Korea. Not surprising given the quality they showed in that game. Alisson in goal, Eder Militao, Marquinhos, Thiago Silva and Danilo the back 4, Lucas Paqueta and Casemiro sitting in front of them, with Rafinha, Neymar and Vinicius Jr. supporting Richarlison, part of that 4-pronged attack which has really caught the eye in Qatar to date. But nearly 6 minutes on the clock, it's still goalless, and probably unsurprising given what's at stake. It's yet to really settle into any kind of pattern.
Yeah, I mean, it's been even, hasn't it? Brazil had that little bit of a flurry before with the Vinicius shot and the attempted cross, but I think Croatia will be happy with how they've started. They're winning the ball in that sort of midfield areas. They're driving. Brozovic, Kovacic have both been involved. Modric getting involved as well with the little one too. So they are doing well in that aspect. And like we said, if you can overrun the midfield a little bit, you'll see more possession and you can maybe create more than you may expect to against Brazil, who, like we said, they've not been tested so far really against a stern, stiff opposition. The defence hasn't been under that much pressure, so it'll be new for them, I think, if Croatia can get some good delivery into the box.
Yeah, this Croatia side will be the toughest opponents you'd imagine that Brazil have faced so far in the competition. Brazil to make it beyond the quarter-final stage for only the second time since they last won the tournament over 20 years ago. Juranovic for Croatia. It's a decent ball into the box. Eder Militao is a centre-back playing at right-back today, isn't he? The Real Madrid man. He uses aerial prowess there to knob the ball away from danger, and he was fouled in the process. A little bit of a bump from Ivan Perisic along the way.
Yeah, I don't think there was that much. I mean, Perisic has to jump for it, and any little contact is going to send Eder Militao down to the floor. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Brazil have played 3 different players they've had it right back in this tournament, I think it is, and obviously this is the second time I think Eder's been playing in that position. So it's it's a position he's not necessarily known and accustomed to, but he's done okay. But like I said, I think the good thing for Eder is he's not having someone who's got blistering pace up against him. Perisic is tricky. He likes to get in the wide areas, but I don't think he's going to skin Militao all the time. So it's not too bad with him being shifted out to that side, but it's still a potential area that Croatia can look at.
Yeah, Perisic very much been playing as a wing-back at Tottenham over the first half of the season, but part of the front 3 for Croatia, who may have got away with a handball there. Juranovic not penalised by the referee, who'll be a familiar face to fans of the Premier League. It's Michael Oliver, the man in the middle, as Luka Modric there, a very uncharacteristically poor ball with the outside of his right boot. He got it all wrong. Rafinha was able to step in, and he's now been fouled, and Brazil have themselves a free kick. But for the collector's album there, Luka Modric misplacing a pass by a long, long way.
I mean, it was really poor. It was playing across his own side of the pitch, and it was just well under hit, and fortunately Kovacic sort of took one for the team. We just sort of jotted down at the start, didn't we? One of 3 players that if they get another yellow card, then they're suspended for the potential semi-final is Kovacic, and such a important sort of role in the centre of the field. He's going to be putting challenges in, he's going to be breaking forward and tracking back. I would be surprised if he doesn't get close to finding his way into the book.
Yeah, Kovacic, Modric and Lovren for Croatia. Eder Militao out. The players starting are the people walking the tightrope. If they picked up one more yellow card, they'd miss the semi-final if their respective teams got there. And those 4 players, you'd imagine at least one of them will be walking that tightrope at some point in the game, although yellow cards haven't been as flowing as they have been in previous tournaments in Qatar. He's a little bit more lenient on the whole, as Vinicius for Brazil looking to get them going, linking with Neymar down the left-hand side. Vinicius now in the middle of the park, tries to feed it into Rafinha. It's cut out by Sosa. Important interception from the left back, but he's got more work to do now as Rafinha looks to run at him in the penalty area down the right-hand side. Rafinha gets to the byline. Did he keep it in? No, says the assistant referee on the far side. The cross was cut out anyway, but just a sign or two that Brazil trying to get into their stride in the final third.
Yeah, and I suppose it's a warning to Croatia is you just sort of have a lapse of concentration, or you just ease off slightly, and then it's going to allow Brazil to get in, just quick passing down that left side. But that's good in terms of defensive perspective for Croatia. And Borna Sosa up against Rafinha, is that Sosa dealt with it really, really well. He wasn't sort of falling for any little sort of tricks here from Rafinha, or the little, sort of the drop of the shoulder. He stayed with him, and I think that's good that Sosa's back in for Croatia, because Barisic, for his maybe as good as he is, you'd say, from sort of set pieces and crosses into the box. Defensively, I think Sosa has got more energy and a bit more pace about him.
Yeah, he's really impressive, Sosa, in the final group game against Belgium, where Croatia were under a lot of pressure, holding out for the draw that would send them through, and he did some really good work, both defensively and coming forward, actually, as well. The left-back who applies his trade at Stuttgart in the Bundesliga. The referee's assistant on the far side has his flag raised once again, this time for an offside against Neymar, who shakes his head, doesn't necessarily agree with the decision. There's a subplot with Neymar today as well coming into this game. His goal from the penalty spot against South Korea took him on to 76 international goals for Brazil. Only Pelé is ahead of him on the all-time list. He's on 77, so Neymar potentially could equal that record or even go beyond it in this game, and I'm sure, though his main focus is on getting Brazil through to the semi-finals, he will have half an eye on that.
He will. I mean, there's been quite a few records broken or levelled, hasn't there? I mean, Giroud with France, and then goal-scoring Lloris, the all-time cap player for France now. Messi broke Argentina's record as well, didn't he? I think he went past Maradona with goals at World Cup. So, yeah, there's a lot of sort of subplots to it, isn't it? And I suppose for Neymar, if he breaks the record, okay, you can't sort of deny the fact that he's been a loyal servant, great player for Brazil, but if he doesn't get that World Cup, I don't think you can put him in the same bracket as Pelé, really. I think you need to get that trophy, and it's similar with Messi as well. He needs to get the World Cup, otherwise I don't think he's going to be in a par, really, when you try and compare him with Maradona.
So many players like Cristiano Ronaldo as well for Portugal, although he's not been involved in the starting 11 of late, as Juranovic with a really good run forward for Croatia. He's got the support on the right-hand side of Pasalic, who gets an early ball into the box, and it's flicked towards goal by Ivan Perisic, coming in, as he does so effectively from that left-hand side, under a bit of pressure. He just couldn't get the kind of contact he was looking for. Brilliant ball in from Pasalic, and that's the first real opening that either side has created.
It's really good play. Juranovic down that right side, great run as he just drifts in field. I tell you what, Casemiro was treading water. He couldn't get close to him. He's got a lot of praise, Casemiro, for his sort of performances, how he brings balance to the Brazil team, but he was treading water there. But great run, lovely ball in from Pasalic as well. I think Perisic just couldn't quite get the right foot around it. Is it Militao? I didn't know if his boot had just come off there or if he was struggling a little bit.
Yeah, he was kind of stomping the ground as if, yes, his boot could have came off, or he was just
like the back of the boot, wasn't properly in, and he's just trying to wiggle his foot around.
Yeah, I think that probably was it, because he seems to be okay there as he gets a touch on the ball and then receives it straight back from Alisson, and he's under pressure. Eder Militao loses out to Perisic down the Croatia left. Lovely step over from Perisic, and his cross is blocked by Eder Militao behind for a corner. If he was struggling with an injury, he didn't need the return ball from his goalkeeper, and that ended up putting Brazil under pressure.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good play by Croatia, but it's crazy. It's silly stuff from Alisson, such an experienced goalkeeper. You're giving it back to him once, he's giving it back to him. Just get rid of it. I mean, Croatia were already high on the press there, and they'd forced Brazil deep in their own defensive third. Just don't give Croatia a chance from set piece.
Yeah, Croatia will fancy their chances in the aerial duels. Lovren making his way forward from the back. Delivery from Modric needs to be good, and it wasn't. It was poor. Easily cleared away at the front post by Richarlison. A bit of a waste that for Croatia. Brozovic will gather the possession back for the European side, though. Kovacic now feeding it forward towards Perisic. Just a little bit too much on the pass, and Marquinhos can watch the ball all the way back to Alisson in the goal, but then he plays it out to Casemiro, who's very slow in possession. Modric picks his pocket, gets towards the right-hand side of the penalty area. Decent cross into the box, headed away by Eder Militao, but not completely clear from a Brazil point of view. Has Neymar kept it in down the left-hand side? He has. Judges the assistant referee, but a couple of times there, Brazil careless in their own defensive third.
Yeah, I mean, mentioned before, Casemiro, and he was trying to track back and get Juranovic, he couldn't. And then this time, it's just a really heavy touch by Modric nips in, and you just think he's going to have a dig, but he's just trying to get that angle to put a cross in. And I have to say, the ball in is pretty good, but nobody attacks it. It's over the head of Kramaric, who's the most likely aerial target, and no one else is making that dart to try and get it.
Yeah, Perisic at the far post, praised him for coming in for the last chance, but he was a little bit caught on his heels there. Perhaps didn't fancy the aerial duel with Eder Militao on this occasion. Couple of warning signs though for Brazil as Lucas Paqueta, the West Ham midfielder, plays it to Eder Militao, who's been heavily involved in the last 5 minutes or so. We have gone beyond the 15-minute mark in the contest, bringing you independent off-tube studio commentary. Still Croatia 0, Brazil 0. Brazil with Rafinha drifting in from the right side, pulls it across towards Danilo. We mentioned very much a right back rather than a left back by trade, so we want to cut back in field, finds Casemiro, and yeah, he has not had a good opening 15 and a half minutes to this game, because a very careless pass there going nowhere near anyone in a yellow shirt, and it goes behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, and it's the issue when Croatia are allowing Brazil maybe to have the ball at the feet of a Casemiro or Paqueta, but when they're saying to those two, right, you're not getting it to Neymar, he's not being your playmaker, so you've got to do something, you've got to pick out a pass, and they haven't been able to do that so far. I think when you mark Neymar out the game, yes, they've got other assets in the side, but you take away a big focal point, you take away someone who pulls the strings and starts moves and finishes in them as well. So I think Croatia at the moment, the game plan is working very well. They probably would have just wanted a bit better in terms of delivery into the box with the possession they've had.
Yeah, they haven't really tested Alisson yet in the Brazil goal, but from a defensive point of view, it is impressive so far from Croatia. Neymar's barely had a kick. Richarlison's had no real involvement going forward. He's headed a couple of corners away, and that's about the sum of what he's done so far. Vinicius and Rafinha have been a little bit more lively in the wide areas, but again, as Rafinha picks up the ball on the halfway line, they're not in positions where Brazil would want them to be. Neymar likewise dropping deep towards halfway, and he plays the ball out to Vinicius on the left-hand side. He'll want to try and isolate Juranovic, who stands his ground, forces Vinicius back into Neymar, who's pressed into his own half. Thiago Silva stretches to get hold of the ball, but he's under no real pressure. Neymar then a lovely drop of the shoulder to get away from Pasalic, but his ball in field was poor and easily picked off by Kovacic. Pasalic will now roll it into the feet of Andrej Kramaric. Back it goes into Croatian territory, but they retain the ball. Gvardiol, who's had such a good tournament so far, the young RB Leipzig centre-back, sends it forward. Possession will squirm out for a Brazilian throw on the right-hand side. But game plan working from Croatia so far, and this is not the fast-flowing, free-flowing Brazil side we saw in the opening 35-36 minutes against South Korea.
No, it's not. And like I said, they're just not getting the ball towards their more attacking players, more creative players. Croatia doing well to shut them down at the moment. All you would say is when Brazil get into full flow and they up the tempo, it'll be harder. But yeah, at the moment, doing a very good job, Croatia. They're sitting in nicely, but then they're breaking out quickly when we have the opportunity.
They certainly are, as Gvardiol tries to hold up Richarlison. He's supported by Brozovic, who picks Richarlison's pocket. Kovacic with a good composed pass into Modric in space. He can carry the ball forward now towards the halfway line. No one really engaging with Luka Modric, who plays in Pasalic. Juranovic making an overlapping run down the right-hand side. Juranovic will now drift in onto his left foot, and Croatia will recycle the possession. Brozovic keeps it moving out towards the left. Kramaric and Perisic in tandem. Kramaric might fancy a hit from the edge of the penalty area. He did. It was blocked away by Paqueta. Croatia will have to scramble back into their own half with Josko Gvardiol, but decent break forward once again from Croatia, who we mentioned they're outsiders coming into this for many. No one's really expecting them to go through, but 2018 World Cup finalists, they're experienced in knockout stage football, particularly going the distance to extra time and penalties. So it's no surprise that Brazil are struggling to find their footing in this game.
Yeah, I mean, they won their Nations League group, didn't they? That included Austria, Denmark and France. So they're no mugs, but just then when Modric turned away and was running up the pitch, 37-year-old Luka Modric is running away from 30-year-old Casemiro. And I know 30 is not young footballing terms, but tell you what, Casemiro to me, he looks heavy. He looks heavy when he's running around and he's trying to get around the pitch. Whether that's being harsh, I don't know, but he just doesn't look like he's fully on it and fully able to keep up with some of the players that are around him.
Yeah, it might be a concern for the manager of Brazil, Casemiro, who has had a really good tournament so far at these finals. Heavily involved. He's one of the few players to have started all 4 games before this, as Vinicius Junior brings the ball forward for Brazil down the left-hand side. He has looked lively so far. He tries to link up with Richarlison. It's a really good move. The blocked shot from Vinicius blocked away. I think it was Lovren who got his body in the way. Wasn't the most incisive shot from Vinicius, but the build-up play was really good. Neymar now getting involved into the Croatia penalty area. He gets a shot away straight down the throat of Livakovic once more, but that was better from Brazil going forward.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you allow Neymar that little bit of space and time, when you allow him to turn and look at you and be able to run at you and, change his direction, right to left, left to right, and that's when he just needs a little split second. He gets away from his man, but the little 1-2 from Vinicius and Richarlison is really good to start with. But when you allow Brazil to get those players involved and be able to get sort of a sight and a bit of space, that's when they can hurt you.
Brazil coming forward again. Neymar just a little bit too heavy with his through ball into Vinicius Junior, but signs that Brazil are awakening in this game, signs that the match is starting to open up a little bit as well. It's bubbling under the surface nicely. Nearly 21 minutes on the clock. Croatia 0, Brazil 0. Still no real clear-cut opportunity for either side. Neither goalkeeper's really been overextended so far, but it does feel like we're not too far away from a decent opportunity being created. Brazil will look to come forward once again. Paqueta exchanges passes with Casemiro and works it down the left-hand side via Neymar. Now infield to Marquinhos. Paris Saint-Germain centre-back striding over the halfway line. Wants it back from Eder Militao and gets it. A bit heavy with his touch though under pressure, and he's out of position now, Marquinhos. Croatia though have everyone deep back inside their own half behind the ball, so they can't work it forward. Instead Sosa goes all the way back to Livakovic, who will clip the ball out to the right-hand side. Accurate pass to find Juranovic. We'll go back in towards Dejan Lovren. Croatia happy enough to start again. They'll be very pleased with the way they've started this game at Zlatko Dalic's side. Spoke about their hard-to-beat record in the knockout stages. They've only lost one knockout match in the last 8 at World Cups, and that was against France in the 2018 final. That's in 90 minutes. They have lost in extra time and penalties previously, but it just shows how stubborn and hard to beat they can be, even against the very best opposition. I'd have to say Brazil are right up there in terms of that, as they look to come forward once again, perhaps just growing into proceedings once more. Danilo will go back into Marquinhos. Now Eder Militao on the right-hand side. Paqueta out there as well, to drift in on his left foot, and he stands a decent-looking ball into the penalty area. Lovren, a shaky header away from Dejan Lovren, drops to Richarlison, who tees up Casemiro's shot from the edge of the area, is blocked behind for what I believe would be Brazil's first corner. Decent strike from Casemiro. Perhaps an opportunity, first chance anyway, for the likes of Thiago Silva and Marquinhos to come forward from the back. We have reached the midway point in this first half as well. Croatia 0, Brazil 0. So before Rafinha takes this corner, I'll hand you over to James to take you through to the half-time break.
Yeah, Rafinha, see what he can do with this one. It'll be left-footed in swing and delivery. What can he do with this? As it does come towards the near post, and there's a bit of a battle going on. It's flicked away. Now Croatia trying to bring it clear. Modric has he's been jumped all over the back there by Paqueta, and it will be a free kick. Just sort of going on from your point about Croatia with the knockout matches, it's their determination as well, in terms of just looking at the last matches they've won at the World Cups, the last 5 games they've won at the World Cups, including penalties and extra time. They've gone behind in every one of those games, but they know how just to stay in there, to stick into a match. You know, they did it. They went behind against Canada early doors, didn't they, in this World Cup? They went behind to Japan, but they never lose their faith, and they keep themselves in games. You know, when they concede, they rarely then concede 2-3, do they? Just make sure it's one to give themselves a chance of coming back.
It's game management, isn't it? They're fantastic at it. They've got that experience. That midfield three is key to this, because they dictate the tempo. If they are struggling at times in games, as a strong challenge comes in there from Danilo, high boot into the face, or certainly that's what Juranovic is claiming. He's gone down. Looks like it is a free kick to Croatia. Michael Oliver is going to brandish a yellow card. Danilo, not one of the players walking the tightrope of a suspension today. Well, he is now, because he's on a yellow card, but he wasn't before this. And although he wins the ball and probably doesn't really touch Juranovic, it is deemed dangerous play?
Well, it's a hard one because if, Juranovic goes in with his head, if Danilo goes in with his head as well, there's the chance that they'll both just smash heads going for it. So it's always the situation, whoever goes with the high foot but gets the ball is always going to get the free kick given against them, because Juranovic has thought, well, he's just got to duck his head into it and it's going to be a free kick. I mean, everyone sort of jumps out of the seats on the dugout, don't they? But there's no malice in it. He's come across, he has won the ball, and he's not made contact with Juranovic's head, but it's just how it looks.
I mean, you could argue it's more dangerous if they both went head to head. They're both endangering each other. At least if you go with your foot, you're probably going to be okay, and the damage will be more superficial than maybe a head-on-head collision, but not quite as damaging in the long term, you'd imagine.
Yeah, let's see what Croatia can do. Modric standing over this free kick, steps up right-footed, dinks it, and it's headed up at the near post and away by Casemiro, and then Neymar is brought down, and a free kick will be awarded. I don't think there was a great deal in that. I think Neymar jumps up, maybe a little nudge in the side. Richarlison's obviously having a word with the official, but again, delivery quality there from Modric is not good enough from that position.
Yeah, from set pieces in particular, he's not quite got his eye in so far. You usually expect Luka Modric to be pinpoint with his balls into the box, and I've already alluded to it. It's an avenue that Croatia can look to exploit if he can get the delivery right. You're fancying the likes of Lovren, Gvardiol, Kramaric even in the penalty area to get their better of their markers and perhaps get a decent effort towards goal.
Yeah, just so the stats that pop up now at the World Cup, ball recovery time, possession as well. They've got 3 percentages on possession now in contest. I think that's ridiculous as well. It's either in the possession of one team or the other. This in contest business is something else really. Is Vinicius down the left, but he's been marshalled well. Not sure what your thoughts are on the stats, Tom.
Well, how do they determine what's in contest and what isn't? If a goalkeeper's sending a goal kick long, is that once it leaves his boot, is that in contest now? Because you're not 100% sure where it's ending up. It's a grey area, and we may be a little bit old school. It's overcomplicating things for me.
Stats for stats' sake. I think I've seen stuff like showing for the ball and stuff like that. There's stats for that through the World Cup also. I mean, if you like your stats, then you're in luck for this event in Qatar. But if you don't, you're more traditionalist. Just listen to the commentary and we'll be okay. It's still 0-0 though, just over 27 minutes gone, and I have to say it's been even. There's not been any real chance. There's been nothing for Livakovic really to do with note, and Alisson's had nothing to do either. It's been even, it's been 50-50, but I think out of the two teams, Croatia will be the happier.
Yeah, and just had another stat flash up on our screen. Pressure applied. The top 3 on that list are Croatian players. So they're working hard and they're nullifying Brazil, although passes like that from Brozovic will not help matters. Yeah,
it's a few times they've done that, Croatia, and then there's a free kick which is being awarded now. I think that was Gvardiol who has been pulled there by the referee. I think Kovacic, I don't think he was the one that made the tackle, or he's coming over to have a word with the referee. But again, it's a crazy, it's like a hospital pass in rugby, that just knock it in field and you've given it away. I mean, there's not much more the Croatian player could have done bar give away free kick. Yeah,
Brozovic, he's trying to caress that with the inside of his foot on the volley out to the far side, doesn't make the connection he's looking for, and then the foul comes in. It might be Brozovic actually himself who ends up giving away the free kick, and it's put his side under pressure. Brazil, it's quite a central free kick, so difficult to work an angle to get across into the box, but it's a danger nonetheless.
Yeah, especially when you have someone of Neymar's quality over and he floats it out towards that right side. It's going to be knocked back in then on the volley by Casemiro. Can't get much on it. It's half flicked away, but Brazil have possession back, but they're gone all the way towards the halfway line. Thiago Silva now with Danilo pings it out towards that right side, and the yellow shirts are battling away for it. They do just enough to keep hold of possession. Very scrappy at the moment as Paqueta has it now. Now it's with Rafinha midway through Croatia's half. Holds on to possession. Back to the West Ham man in Paqueta. Now still trying to come forward. Danilo's come out to this right hand side now. Now a ball comes into the area from Eder Militao. It's been flicked on by Casemiro, but straight towards the feet then of Juranovic, who under no pressure controls it. Now he plays a little 1-2 with Modric and he gets it back the right back. Now he's driving forward over halfway, still coming now, and he gets it back again. Nice little 1-2 there with Pasalic. Then he goes for a crossfield ball, and it's a lovely ball as well. Perisic will pick it up and he gets it out of his feet then, going up against his man in Eder. Does well, cuts inside. Oh, did really well there, the Spurs man. He just drifts in field. I mean, there's no challenge whatsoever from Eder Militao. I think he knows he's on that yellow card to potentially get suspended for the semi-final, but the execution, the quality of the strike wasn't there.
Yeah, his eyes light up, don't they, Perisic, when he drifts inside, and he's fully entitled to take the shot on, but he's trying to get too much power in it. He should be looking to curl that one from that kind of position, and he lashes it over the top of the crossbar. But great play again by Juranovic down the right-hand side. Croatia right back has arguably been the best attacking player on the pitch so far, which tells you a lot of the reason why we've gone beyond the half-an-hour mark now and it's still 0-0.
Yeah, Celtic man, didn't know he plied the trade in the Scottish Premiership as Neymar is dragged to the floor, and that will be a yellow card. Is that coming the way of Marcelo Brozovic, I think it was there? Well, he's walked a tightrope with a couple of fouls that have gone against him. Replay we saw just cut away mid-replay, but it definitely was Brozovic who has gone in the book, but he's not one of the 3 players for Croatia that's starting that have the chance or could potentially get suspended for the semi-final. Is it Richarlison and Lovren? Are they having a little go at each other? Gvardiol's involved as well. I'm sure VAR will look at this. I think Richarlison's trying to make out that he was caught on the face.
Well, we're going to watch the replay of the Brozovic foul, and it cut away. It looked like maybe Brazil had taken the free kick quickly and wasted it, but it looks like it was more of a coming together between Lovren and Richarlison. Richarlison wasn't happy, and VAR has had a look. They've deemed that there was nothing untoward from Dejan Lovren because play has resumed, but a bit of an untidy moment all around.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, that's a good strong challenge by Gvardiol. He takes out 2 Brazil players who tried to tackle him there and get the ball. Brilliant strong defending from the centre half. I mean, 20 years of age. They say don't buy someone off the back of an impressive major tournament. However, it's perfectly placed for some of these players to get picked up because the January transfer window coming up.
Absolutely, and for me, there's not been a better central defender at these finals so far than Josko Gvardiol. His stock has really risen. He's already playing for a top club in RB Leipzig in the Champions League, but yeah, he's going to be attracting the attention, you'd imagine, of the very elite clubs in Europe. And you mentioned Juranovic as well. His contract talks with Celtic have stalled over recent months, so maybe there's a potential move for him in the offing as well.
Yeah, you want to drop a little bit further south, don't you? Get away from the Scottish Premiership. As Brazil have possession back now inside their own defensive third. Good pressure from Croatia. The ball's eventually just cleared upfield by Eder, but it can't be brought down by Richarlison, and Croatia have it back, and they're just getting stuck into the challenges, Croatia. I don't think Brazil are liking it at the moment, as Modric has this now. He tries to spray the ball into the path then of Pasalic, who has been kept relatively quiet so far. Now it is with Juranovic. Now Modric again, making himself available all the time. You wouldn't think he's 37 years old, Modric, because he just bounces around like he's about 17. He is a bundle of energy, and he makes things tick for Croatia, as we're still trying to carve open a clear-cut opportunity for either side, really, but Croatia trying to do that, have given it away, but then Richarlison has just overran it, then poor control, and Croatia have it back now with Juranovic all the way towards the goalkeeper in Livakovic. Just sprays one out towards this near side. It's flicked down the line by Juranovic. Really good flick as well into the path of Pasalic. Now the right back gets it back on halfway. Modric again. They're just popping around nicely. They're not short of confidence, Croatia, and I think that's good. You can't be in awe of a team like Brazil, with such the attacking talents that they have. You have to go in thinking, right, let's get stuck into them and let's actually try and take the game to them.
Absolutely, and Croatia's squad, starting 11, is full of world-class players who play for the top clubs, so they shouldn't be overawed. They're teammates with a lot of these Brazilian players. I mean, Modric is at Real Madrid with Vinicius and Eder Militao. Perisic is with Richarlison at Spurs. They shouldn't have anything to fear, and they've played like that so far. It's been fantastic. The only thing I'd say, you mentioned Luka Modric. A case in point, he's 37. He played 99 minutes. He did come off in extra time against Japan, but these kind of players, particularly in the engine room in the middle of the park, how much energy is Modric, even Kovacic and Brozovic are going to have come the latter stages of this game, given how much they've put into the previous matches in this competition.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think Modric, he can't go past extra time. If he's not doing extra time fully against Japan, no disrespect to them, then he's probably not going to do it against a team like Brazil with the bench and the quality that Brazil have to potentially bring onto the field a player. When you've got like Pedro, Rodrigo, Martinelli, you think a lot of those players would probably get into the starting lineups of quite a lot of other international teams. They would like the sort of the assets, the plethora of options that Tite has available to him. I mean, Bruno Guimaraes is another one, great season for Newcastle, but can't really find his way into the starting side of this Brazil team, as a long ball forward downfield is just about dealt with by Juranovic. Eventually just smashes it out of play, so a throw will be given to Brazil, the Selecao on this left-hand side of the field. But yeah, Zlatko Dalic, I'm sure at the start of the game he might have thought to himself, look, if we can get in at the break 0-0, and we've got every chance of doing something in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. He'd be really pleased with how things have gone. They haven't offered as much as a threat in the last 10-15 minutes, Croatia, as they were in the opening 20, where they did look a threat on the counter-attack and were giving Brazil one or two nervous moments in Selecao's own defensive third. They've gone a little bit more into their shell since then, Croatia, but yeah, I think he will be the happier of the two managers if it is 0-0 at the break.
Yeah, as Richarlison's trying to work his way into the box, but again, he's just been muscled out well. And as Croatia try and play the ball out from the back, I'll tell you what, that's really clever play by Modric, because the ball was not a great one inside when Brazil have got many numbers up there putting the press on. Modric spots the danger and just leans in, just gets in ahead of Paqueta. And you know what, I don't think there's much of a foul there, but Modric makes it look like there's more contact, I think, than there is.
Yeah, he did. It was his clever experience play from Modric. It's a pass he doesn't want in that kind of area, into his feet with a Brazilian player right behind him. He just knew he had to get a touch on the ball, and then any contact he could go down. And in the referee, 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, a referee will give a free kick in that situation. It's like the old one where the defender's against his own byline, he feels a striker behind and goes down. They're always going to give a free kick. Modric knows that. Paqueta probably knows that, the Brazilian player involved, and it's an easy get out in the end for Croatia.
It is indeed, as we are edging closer towards half time. I have to say there's not been many stoppages so far, so shouldn't be much added time. It's kind of started to even, it's to level out a little bit stoppage time, not as much as it was right at the start of the tournament. Croatia coming forward now towards the edge of the area. Oh dear me, Brozovic, well, just didn't know what to do there. He kind of got stuck in between about 3 Brazilian players and just toe poked it away straight behind for a goal kick. And yeah, I think he probably should have had a shot, I think, if anything.
It's the problem that's been for Croatia at these finals. Defensively, they've been really strong. In the midfield, we know the quality they have, but an out-and-out centre-forward is what they're lacking. They've gone with Kramaric through the middle today. He's tended to play out wide more often than not. They had Petkovic in the last game, who was hauled off after less than an hour. Livaya scored against Canada, but then was really poor against Belgium, so they don't really have an out-and-out centre-forward. If they had Richarlison playing up front for them, you'd almost go as far as say that we could potentially make Croatia favourites in this game, potentially one of the favourites to go all the way, but they just lack that focal point, that number 9.
Yeah, I mean, Perisic is the top scorer in the squad, 33 goals, and he, like you mentioned before, is as a wing-back for Tottenham Hotspur, where he plays his club football now. He plays obviously further forward for Croatia, part of the top 3, but I suppose when you don't play regularly in a forward position for your club, it's hard to then replicate and move into a more advanced position for your country and just continue to score the goals, which Perisic hasn't really done in this tournament so far, not on a regular basis anyway. Is Croatia then trying to play the ball out on halfway? Oliver, what he's trying to insinuate there, maybe a forearm put out at some point, but Brazil have possession back anyway. But it's slowed ever so slightly at the moment. I don't know whether that's Croatia taking their foot off the gas a little bit, but Brazil aren't really doing anything to suggest that they're going to go ahead.
No, it feels like no one wants to show their hand too early. They're feeling each other out. They've been doing that for the best part of 40 minutes now, and the game will eventually open up. It'll have to in the second half. You would hope anyway, from a neutral point of view. Certainly Brazil, they're not going to be settling to go to extra time in the lottery of penalties. So it just feels like we're going through the motions a little bit at the moment. It needs some sort of spark, which might be provided by someone like Neymar, who just fed a nice ball through, but again, Brazil can't fully capitalise.
Yeah, they've struggled against European nations, Brazil, in knockout games at the World Cup. Last time they beat the European side in the knockout matches after the group stages were when they were crowned champions in 2002. So I know that stat when you think, oh my God, 20 years ago, but you think, well, yeah, but there's been 4 World Cups since then, so it's not as if there's been a whole host of games, but it's still. It's a glaring record. It's a glaring stat when you look at it. You think, is there something that the European nations just have that bit of more grit or something in their play, and they can deal with the South Americans a bit better?
Maybe. You look at the sides that have beaten them. It's France in 2006, it was the Netherlands in 2010, Germany the 7-1, and then Belgium 4 years ago. The thing I would argue is those 4 teams back then were probably all better than this Croatia team now. So this is Brazil's best opportunity since 2002 to beat a European side in a knockout match. That expect to do that. But I think it just comes down to the fact that when Brazil face these sides, it's usually in the latter stages, quarterfinals, semi-finals of a tournament, and if you're at that stage of a World Cup, you're a good side.
Yeah, you are. I mean, I suppose it's, when you look at it as well, it's maybe been a slightly easier path through Brazil than other sides. I mean, they had Cameroon, Serbia, again flat to deceive in this World Cup, and Switzerland, you know what you're going to get from them, but they won the first 2 games. Brazil didn't need to win the third, they were already through. And then South Korea in the next round, again South Korea did brilliantly to get through, but it was never going to be that hard of a match, so it's not been a bad route through for them, whereas of course Argentina have got the Netherlands in the game this season. That will be difficult for them. However, we have a free kick opportunity here for Brazil as we just tick over 41 minutes. It's basically right on the left corner of the penalty area. It's a really difficult one here for Dominik Livakovic, the Croatian goalkeeper, to get his wall set, because if Neymar thinks, I'll try and catch him out and go for the near post, it's going to be hard for Livakovic to cover that. He's got to trust what is just a 2-man wall and has the small Luka Modric in it on the left hand side as we look at that as well at the goal. I don't know, I fancy Neymar maybe to try and shoot here and go for the top left corner, but wait and see. Plenty of players in the box. Neymar steps up, right footer, does go for that near post and takes a little flick off the wall, which sort of separated, but that brought it back into the path of Livakovic, who makes an easy save.
Yeah, took the sting out of the shot, didn't it? And comfortable for Livakovic, as all his saves in this first half have been. Might be going wide anyway. The strike from Neymar, fully entitled to take it on. The angle was a little bit against him, but we just haven't seen enough shots in anger towards goal, have we, in this first half? There's been some neat build-up play, a few crosses into the box, particularly from Croatia, but there's been nothing really for Livakovic or Alisson to do.
Yeah, it's smacked of a game that started off good tempo, good pace, but it smacks of a game now where both sides are thinking, oh well, we don't want to give away anything here. This is a quarter-final of a World Cup. We don't want to go behind and have to try and get back into this game. That's a bit of a poor mistake at the back then by Danilo. As Croatia have possession down the right-hand side. It's with Brozovic, the one of 2 players yellow carded in this game. Danilo being the other one. As we get total receptions between midfield and defensive lines now pop up on the screen as another one of the stats at this World Cup.
Again, Croatia dominated it, so for whatever it means, it's good for Croatia, I suppose.
Someone's bet on receptions between midfield and defence, then the laughing at the moment is Croatia then just nicely work it down the left-hand side. Sosa tries to feed one into the area, and it's been just about dealt with there by Marquinhos, who was under a little bit of pressure, nearly just allowed it to go out, but Brazil clear the lines, back to halfway, but Croatia have it again. Less than 2 minutes of normal time to go in this opening half, and just as Croatia were coming forward down the right with Juranovic, Michael Oliver's pulled this back for what looks like a potential injury to Lucas Paqueta on the floor there, I think it was. Didn't really see much what happened.
Yeah, it's only an ankle knock. I think he maybe just got his ankles tapped by Perisic as he was running back, but it's not a head injury. It's not a reason for Michael Oliver to have stopped the game. You could tell that he wasn't in too much discomfort, and Juranovic was bursting forward down the right-hand side. Croatia had good possession of the ball. They'll get it back from this uncontested drop ball, despite the complaints of Neymar to Michael Oliver. But yeah, it's not in the same kind of position, not with the same momentum that they had previously, Croatia.
Yeah, again, I mean, furious if you're Croatia, really. They reacted okay with it. There's a long ball over the top here, actually, for Croatia. Maybe an opportunity as Kramaric tries to bring it down in the box, and, well, he just couldn't get it under his grasp, under his spell, but the flag goes up anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. Thiago Silva, the skipper, he was looking a bit frustrated towards the official on this near side, but the flag eventually went up. I'll tell you what, he's not offside. He is not offside, so again, it should be a corner kick here for Croatia.
Yeah, it's a frustrating one, isn't it? It's a grey area with the rules, because you can let it play out for, if it goes in, they'll check it for a goal, but you can't check for a corner, which is what, again, Croatia were entitled to. They look like it was Eder Militao.
And it's not there where he was offside either when the flag goes up.
No, it's about 20 yards further deeper in Brazil's territory. But yeah, it's frustrating. A frustrating couple of minutes there for Croatia. A couple of decisions, choices by the officials going against them. But ticking to the 45 minutes now, as you say, we shouldn't have too much added on time, relatively, for this World Cup anyway. And again, we mentioned it earlier, Croatia should and will be the happier of the two sides going into the break at 0-0.
Yeah, minutes has gone up on the board, which had around 15-20 seconds of. Yeah, I'd have to say, there's just a few signs of the Brazilian players just getting a little bit frustrated, just niggling fouls they're giving away, Richarlison being one of them. But I think, Richarlison's got that attitude where if you're Croatia, you can wind him up a little bit, you can try and force him into making a bit of a rash challenge. As again, Brazil just give it away, Croatia have it back. Less than 30 seconds to go now of the one added on. Juranovic with it down this right side. Gives it to Kramaric, who's come very, very deep. Now it's Modric back inside to Juranovic, who's kept himself upfield. Now he finds the ball towards the edge of the D to Pasalic, out towards the left, but the flag has gone up against Pasalic, coming from an offside position. And I'm sure when this ball eventually goes to where the offside happened, that when the free kick's taken, the referee Michael Oliver will blow for half time. As we see a few shots of the fans now, but both Brazil and Croatian fans in good spirits, but the referee Michael Oliver's not even allowed the free kick because he's blown for half time. At the break, it is Croatia 0, Brazil 0.
Croatia 0, Brazil 0 at half time. Croatia probably be the happier of the two sides. No real clear goal scoring opportunities for either. The Croatians' best effort, Ivan Perisic, just couldn't quite get on the end of a Mario Pasalic cross. From Brazil, flattered to deceive in the final third so far. Croatia have kept them pretty quiet. Couple of long range efforts, an Neymar free kick and a strike from Casemiro that deflected wide for a corner. Not a classic so far. It's Croatia 0, Brazil 0. Casemiro that deflected wide for a corner. Not a classic so far. It's Croatia 0, Brazil 0. Well, it's a very warm welcome back to our independent off-tube studio commentary of the opening quarter-final at this year's World Cup. It is Croatia 0, Brazil 0 as the second half gets underway at the Education City Stadium. As you were just hearing, it wasn't a classic opening 45 minutes. Both sides feeling each other out. Croatia would have been the happier of the two teams. They set up their game plan and have stifled Brazil so far in this game. It certainly hasn't been the same Brazil we saw against South Korea in the round of 16 just a few days ago. But as I say, the second half is underway. No changes made by either manager, so it's as you were in terms of the two starting 11s. It's myself, Tom McGarry and James Mason talking you through this afternoon's coverage. And James, hopefully it's a better second half from a neutral point of view than what we saw in the first. The opening 10 minutes or so, it promised. It looked like it was bubbling up nicely, but then it just kind of faded out, and both teams seemed pretty content from about the 30-minute mark onwards to go in at 0-0.
Yeah, it petered out quite quickly, didn't it, in terms of towards the end of that first half. And I mean, sort of looking at the coverage that we have and listening to some of the pundits saying how Croatia were sucking the life out of the game. I thought it was a very harsh comment on Croatia. They're not sucking the life out of the game. They were playing their own way, and they're stopping Brazil from, playing their free-flowing football. They weren't doing it in terms of putting loads of fouls in. They were just very well marshalled at the back. They were structured, and Croatia had some good chances sort of coming forward, got into good positions, didn't quite have the execution and the right delivery from set pieces, but I think at the moment Croatia will be very happy. And again, we said in the first half that the masters are sort of staying in games, aren't they? Even when they're 1-0 behind in matches, the masters are staying in there, then hitting back. This is 0-0. They know one goal could decide it.
Rafinha coming forward now for Brazil down the right-hand side, feeds it into the penalty area. The cross, the effort towards goal from Richarlison is diverted away by a combination of Gvardiol and Livakovic. That was much better from Brazil. Rafinha down the right, Eder Militao it was, bursting forward from right back, got to the byline, cuts it into the penalty area, and Richarlison just looking to get any kind of contact on it, but he couldn't get enough of a touch to divert it beyond Dominik Livakovic. As Brazil come again, this is a good start to the second half. Richarlison, effort blocked by Gvardiol. It'll come to Vinicius, and Livakovic dives at his feet and makes the save after Croatia initially struggled to clear the ball away. The offside flag has gone up anyway. I'm not sure at what point someone was offside, but the attack comes to an end. But right on cue, that was much, much better from Brazil.
Was much better, I have to say, before we talk into it. I think it's Anthony on the sidelines there having a go at the official. Fabinho, fair credit to him, has just come over and pulled him away, basically said, what on earth are you doing? Just get away. He's got VAR in his ear telling him whether to put the flag up or not. But that is better. I tell you what, Gvardiol, though, superb defending from him. He was the one, I think, that got the little flick when that initial chance came on. Ooh, I tell you what, VAR are having a look at this, and I think Juranovic is going to have given away a penalty here. Just seeing that again, when the ball is played over from the right to left into the penalty area, it drops down over Juranovic's shoulder, and it hits his hand, which is it's outstretched slightly. It's almost if he cups it slightly. That is going to be a penalty if Michael Oliver is told to go over to the screen, I think, anyway.
Yeah, the check is over, though. They're not going to ask him to. It's one of those, when you look at it, and based on what you see handballs given for, you expect the VAR to ask Michael Oliver to have a look, and you expected a penalty to then be awarded. But I'm actually quite happy with the decision, because it was a cross that came over Juranovic's right shoulder. It hits his left hand, and it hits his hand. You can argue his hand's in an unnatural position, but it actually had no effect. If anything, it helped the ball cushion into the path of Vinicius. There was no intent there was no benefit to what he was doing from a Croatian point of view. And I think I'm happy with it to be the right decision, but I'm not sure if technically and what we're used to seeing at the moment, whether it is the right call.
Yeah, I'd like to see it again in a bigger angle in real time, just to see how it looked and what sort of impact it had. But really, for penalties we've seen given at times, and handballs as well, that looked one of the most clear-cut penalties to give.
Yeah, and certainly Brazil weren't happy with the call. As now Croatia coming forward down the right-hand side. Juranovic, the man who the ball struck his hand in the penalty area, now at the other end of the pitch, winning a corner for his team. He has been a good attacking outlet in this game so far. The Celtic right back, as Gvardiol and Lovren make their way forward from the back for this set piece. Luka Modric standing over it. His delivery from dead balls in the first half weren't at their usual high standard, so we'll be hoping for more with this later set piece. It'll be an outswinging delivery from the Real Madrid start. He clips it towards the penalty spot, and it is a Croatian head that gets there. Perisic flicking it on. It's volleyed back across the face of goal by Kramaric, and Brazil scramble it clear again. There's an offside flag raised anyway against Kramaric, but both sides in the opening 5 minutes of this second half showing plenty more attacking intent than we saw for the majority of the first.
Yeah, it's way offside there as Kramaric then not getting back on, but it's better. I think Brazil will be happy there in terms of they defended that set piece pretty well. You know, aerially you think that Croatia maybe just got a slight edge over them, but yeah, Brazil have done well in that sort of aspect so far. But yeah, I mean, this has been a good start to the second half as more intent from both of the sides to try and come forward. And you know, you want that, don't you? The more Brazil push forward, you'd feel that Croatia can try and hit them on the break. You know, it could make for quite a good second half. You just don't want it to get to maybe like 70 minutes and it's still 0-0, because you'd feel Croatia will just stick in and try and see it to extra time.
Yeah, it is the cliche, is that we need a goal, and that should open things up. But as you say, the closer you get towards the end of 90 minutes, the more, even at Brazil at that stage, with 15-20 minutes to go, they might think, let's not lose this now, let's just sit in and we'll go again potentially in extra time. I can't imagine at any stage Brazil will be looking to settle for penalties. As Juranovic clips the ball forward for Croatia. Croatia, of course, got through to this stage by virtue of a penalty shootout, beating Japan in the round of 16, as Neymar now bursting forward for Brazil, drives through the middle of the pitch. Was he fouled? No, the referee says play on. Brazil have possession of the ball anyway. Neymar is slow to get back to his feet. It's Rafinha in possession. He gives it away cheaply, flicking it against the knee of Ivan Perisic. Kramaric then can't keep hold of the ball for Croatia, and Neymar is still gingerly got back to his feet. He's had that ankle problem, hasn't he, that he picked up in the opening match of the tournament against Serbia, missed the subsequent 2 group games, only returned against South Korea. He is okay by the looks of things now, but Brazil will be concerned every time he ends up on the deck. Yeah,
I mean, I think it was his knee. I think he was making out that Kovacic had come across and he'd collided with his knee, but I don't think there was so much. I think Neymar holds out the knee and makes sure he makes contact with Kovacic, who had stopped. So I think that was good for the referee, Michael Oliver, not to give that, because Neymar, for as good as he is quality-wise, he has that about his game, doesn't he? He can con referees quite easily into giving away free kicks.
Yeah, he has that reputation, which will sometimes go against him as well, but on that occasion I think the referee got things right, as attempted through ball from that man Neymar is cut out by Juranovic, who looks to burst forward on the counter-attack for Croatia once again. He's got a player to his right and his left. He finds Pasalic on the right, who cuts in on his left foot and looks to lift the ball towards Perisic inside the penalty area, left-hand corner of the box. It crossed into the area from Perisic, and it might have been Pasalic who continued his run from right to left. The cross was just too high for him, but that is the Croatia game plan, the counter-attack, where they can try and catch Brazil out.
Yeah, I think we've established that Pasalic has no left foot, when that was easy to just swing across with the left. And I think Perisic there gets caught in between, going for a shot, and then in the last split second, he sees that run from Pasalic and he thinks, I'll just try and dink it into the area for him. And it's, you know, that horrible sort of in-between cross shot where he gets too much on it and it's not on target. But that's better. There's definitely more gaps opening up.
Yeah, and again, it was Juranovic bursting from right back that started that move. But a really good game, the Celtic player. As Brazil in possession, Thiago Silva. Is it over the halfway line, being trapped by Kramaric, feeds it out to Rafinha on the right. I think Anthony was waiting to come on, wasn't he, for Brazil? So T hasn't waited too long, the Brazil manager, to think about making a change less than 10 minutes into the second half. And Rafinha might be one of those candidates to come off, actually. I can't imagine he's going to go too gun-ho at this stage. And you're thinking, is he going to bring off Neymar? No, surely not. He's probably not going to bring off Richarlison or Vinicius. Rafinha is probably the prime candidate, although Brazil might have a chance anyway. Shot from Neymar on the angle inside the penalty area. Again, Livakovic out quickly to make a decent save. Vinicius will look to keep the attack going for Brazil. His cross from the left is cut out by, I think it's Juranovic, who's gone down actually holding his head after getting a block on that ball. And I suspect Michael Oliver will stop play, but that was a really good opportunity for Neymar. And again, Livakovic standing big and making the stop.
Yeah, really good play by Livakovic. He makes himself big, spreads him, makes his body as big as he could, but keeps, sort of spreads the legs apart as well. Sort of on the side, he makes the save, but it's superb work from Richarlison to start with, because he shows good strength to hold it up and then sort of roll away, thread that through ball. Neymar should be doing a lot better for me. Take nothing away from Livakovic. He comes to the near post, he makes himself big, he narrows the angle. But I think Neymar, he should probably try and lift it, or he maybe even had a time to take a touch then onto the right foot potentially.
Yeah, it's a bit of a scuffed finish. He was stretching slightly as well, Neymar, as Antony has entered the fray, and I can see Rafinha sitting down in the dugout behind him. So the Barcelona player has been replaced, and Manchester United's Antony is on the field. Different kind of attacking threat for Croatia to have to deal with. Antony gets his first touch of the ball. He has taken up the same position on the right hand side as was being occupied by Rafinha, and he's looking to burst forward now. Antony has a good ball down the right hand channel. Richarlison has to stretch to keep it in play, digs out a really good cross. Lovren well positioned on the edge of his 6-yard box to hook the ball clear, but Brazil are going through the gears somewhat at the start of this second half. There's a much greater tempo from them going forward to what we saw in the first.
Yeah, they're just working a bit quicker and giving nice little 1-2s, working into the channels. It was quite central in the first half. With this, they've moved it out wide a bit more. I think Antony coming on offers them more attacking. I would say it gives hope to Croatia a bit, though, because I don't think Antony's going to do as much defensive work or tracking back maybe as Rafinha did. I think he likes to play more forward, doesn't he? He doesn't like to do all that tracking. So I think there's potential maybe for someone like a Borna Sosa to get himself forward, and maybe a bit more sort of space for Perisic to run into as well.
Well, yeah, if you think on the other side, Juranovic has had space to break forward because Vinicius doesn't necessarily track back, and maybe Rafinha was doing a bit more defensive work on the other side, because we didn't see much of Sosa, the Croatian left-back, going forward in the first half. And I mentioned in the first period as well, I watched him against Belgium, and he was really good going forward, the Stuttgart player. So that's one to watch out for. This game of cat and mouse will reach a crux at some point in this second period, you would imagine. Dejan Lovren in possession for Croatia, rolls it into his central defensive colleague Josko Gvardiol. Now Kovacic gets it back off Ivan Perisic, as Croatia, just after that period where they were a little bit stretched, only doing the right thing, just retaining the ball. Modric back into Perisic, Kovacic once more. Croatia, the masters at retaining possession with those midfield trio. Is lovely switch from Modric out to Juranovic on the right hand side. He has been tracked on this occasion by Vinicius. Picks up with Kramaric and goes back towards Lovren. Seen him this high up the field of play from open play in the game. He retreats back towards the halfway line, but good period this for Croatia in possession. Kovacic on to Pasalic on the right. Vinicius closes him down. Croatia play round the Real Madrid man. Juranovic hugging the touchline. It into Brozovic, back to Juranovic, crossing position, right hand side, pulls it to Kramaric, edge of the box. Brozovic involved again as well. He flicks it, claims a handball against Casemiro, and it breaks down in the end for Croatia. And with players out of position, Brazil can now mount a counter attack. It's Richarlison driving over the halfway line, tried to feed it through to Vinicius, a pass that wasn't really on. Lovren was able to intercept, and now Croatia might think about the counter attack, but Juranovic loses the ball halfway.
Yeah, too many options maybe there for Richarlison to look to, and who he was trying to pass, but Croatia getting bodies back, and then just didn't quite make the most of that chance to counter quickly as well. They just didn't seem like they had the energy levels to try and turn defence into attack, but certainly it's a bit more stretched.
It is, as Antony plays the ball into the feet of Richarlison, just on the edge of the penalty area. His touch was heavy though. He topped them forward, and it goes out of play for a goal kick. Certainly it has been a much better 13-14 minutes or so at the start of this second half than we saw for the majority of the first. We're just looking back at one or two of the chances as well from earlier in this second half. From that cross right at the start of the second period, I thought it was Richarlison who helped it towards goal, but it was off Gvardiol, and that probably makes it an even better save from Livakovic.
Yeah, it did really well. It was a good reaction stop with the foot, just sticking it out and making the save. He's good, Livakovic, isn't he? I mean, he was brilliant in the last game for Croatia, that the penalty saves that he made, and the fact that he's pulled off some big stops here. He went under the radar, I think, when you looked at sort of Golden Glove contenders, but if Croatia get past Brazil, then he'll be right up there.
Only player in the Croatian starting 11 that plays in his homeland, the Dinamo Zagreb stopper, 27 years of age. As Brazil look to come forward with Danilo down the left-hand side. They just haven't quite looked as balanced in that position without Alexandro on the field. Not sure how fit Alexandro is. He has been named amongst the substitutes today, but not included in the starting 11, as Neymar's attempted ball through was cut out by Lovren, who's had a very effective game at the back once more. Another Croatian player that's having a really good tournament. Modric, now turn on the right-hand side, finds Pasalic, and now into the feet of Mateo Kovacic on the halfway line. He's got 3 or 4 players in yellow around him and does really well to engineer a pass out towards Brozovic, who can now look to bring it across to a space on the left-hand side, but very content to bring the game down to not even a walking pace there, Marcelo Brozovic, as he waits for Kovacic to get back in position next to him. Now Gvardiol, back in field it goes again to Marcelo Brozovic. Croatia again content to keep the ball, and we've seen it more now in the second half actually. They're looking to just suck the life a little bit out of Brazil, certainly make sure there's not an opportunity for Brazil to build up a tempo ahead of steam that they've been trying to do for the last 15 minutes. Yeah,
it's such a fine balance of Croatia, isn't it? Because I think Brazil are there for the taking if they want to go for it, but it's that sort of how much do we attack, how many players do we commit forward, because if we overcommit, then we're giving Brazil that opportunity with the pace they've got on the break then to drive forward and maybe grab themselves a goal. So Croatia, it is a fine balance. I said they'll probably think to themselves, one goal. If we can get one goal against Brazil, I think that could decide the tie.
Yeah, that's what they'll be hoping for. They've never beaten Brazil, though, Croatia, in 4 previous meetings. Just 1 draw during that time. 2 defeats at World Cups as well, in the group stage of 2006 and the group stage in 2014. That was actually the opening match in Brazil 8 years ago, ended in a 3-1 defeat. As Croatia look to come forward down the right-hand side. They've only scored 2 goals as well in those 4 previous meetings with Brazil. Brozovic working the ball across towards the left-hand side with Kovacic. Sosa in support, as is Perisic, who's asking for the ball. He gets it, Ivan Perisic. Early first-time cross, though, under a bit of pressure. He's easily gathered by Alisson at his front post. And I wonder if Zlatko Dalic might think about changing things up himself. I think the general game plan he'll be happy with, but maybe in the introduction of someone in the final third in place of Kramaric might be the way to go, as we see Brazil are actually the team that are preparing their second change of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Kramaric, I think he works a lot, doesn't he? But I think he's usually a candidate to come off as and you just change it up, fresh legs on. But I think what's really good by Croatia is they're just holding possession at times in the middle, in the midfield, just knocking it around. And Vinicius Jr., Anthony, Neymar, those 3 players, they're not wanting to chase around. They're not wanting to put pressure on Croatia and try and win the ball. They're wanting the other teammates behind them to win it and give them possession. So they're not putting that pressure on. They're not forcing Croatia, to sort of make any sort of poor decisions or just kick the ball away unnecessarily. So I think Croatia in that aspect are doing really, really well, and it's an area that they've not controlled the game in the second half, but they've definitely helped keep the possession away from Brazil more.
Brazil look to come forward. Paqueta down the right-hand channel on the stretch. Good cross from Eder Militao, but cleared away by Dejan Lovren, not for the first time in the right position. It is a very good point, though, because Croatia have got their 3 in the middle of the park. We've seen Juranovic get into that kind of area. Pasalic, Perisic drop back as well. So they've got numbers in the business end of the park, whereas Brazil are relying very much on Lucas Paqueta and Casemiro, which is difficult for them, outnumbered in the middle of the pitch. As we see the second Brazilian change, and Vinicius Jr. is going to be replaced by his club teammate Rodrigo. 1 Real Madrid player on, 1 Real Madrid player off, and again it's further sign that the Teat's not completely satisfied with his side's attacking approach.
Yeah, I mean, fair credit to Croatia to see this, because Rafinha's gone off pretty early in the second half, and now Vinicius, who's been really good in the tournament, he's been lively, a few assists, a couple of goals, but he's been kept relatively quiet, bar the first half where he had a shot after a cross that he attempted got blocked, and then he had a shot which came in, which was an easy save. That's about all that he's done. So, I mean, you've got to give huge credit to Juranovic down that right-hand side. He's marshalled Vinicius really, really well.
Yeah, he's a really good game defensively and offensively, Juranovic. Something different for him to deal with now, though, with Rodrigo on the field, as Brozovic, who is on a yellow card, gives away another free kick, brings down Neymar. That is 1 area of concern for Croatia. Neymar stayed down after this challenge as well from Brozovic, who, there's no reason for Neymar to stay down, but he's taking a risk there, putting his arms on the player Brozovic. It is a foul, and the referee will just be noting that, and he can't afford to have too many more of those in the remaining minutes.
He can't, but that's such a frustration from Neymar and other players in that sort of ilk. Is, all Brozovic has done is put the arm on him, and it's actually Neymar is then, he's tripped himself up. His ankle's hit his other one as a long-range shot comes in for this free kick straight at the wall, and then he goes down clutching the inside of his leg, and you think, it's just ridiculous, all this play acting.
Yeah, it's not good to see, but Neymar will be thinking if it gets Brozovic sent off and aids Brazil's chance to get through, then he's not going to stop doing it, as Rodrigo gets his first involvement down the Brazil left. Cross into the box, might break the way of Paqueta. It does come to Paqueta's shot, and another really good save by Dominik Livakovic's strong left arm. That's probably the best of his saves so far. Diverts it behind for a corner.
Yeah, Croatia just not properly clearing their lines. It was, fortunate how it fell towards Brazil and Paqueta, but that's superb by Livakovic. He didn't commit himself too early, waited for the toe poke and gets a good strong hand.
Neymar with the resulting corner in towards the front post, flicked on by Rodrigo and scrambled clear by a couple of Croatian players. That was a really dangerous whip ball into the box from Neymar. And Brazil aren't done yet, because Casemiro has it, feeds it into Eder Militao. His shot is deflected, won't quite fall for either Rodrigo or Neymar. Croatia can scramble it clear, but for the third or fourth time in this second half, Brazil have just got in behind Croatia and created a decent opportunity. Again, though, they haven't been able to take it, and Livakovic is having a very impressive second half, in particular in the Croatia goal. Brazil will look to come again, though, and they build up a head of steam once more. It's Antony twisting and turning, trying to get away from Sosa, who's sticking to his guns. Antony feeds it into Casemiro and works it now infield towards Marquinhos. Space on the left-hand side for Rodrigo now, who cut in on his right foot. Into the penalty area goes. Juranovic will stand him up with support from Pasalic. They force Rodrigo back towards Danilo, and Brazil are now back towards the halfway line with Marquinhos. Rodrigo into Thiago Silva. Plenty of players forward in yellow. Thiago Silva tries to stand the ball up into the penalty area. Juranovic well positioned to head clear, and Pasalic can bring the ball forward and perhaps do more than that. Mario Pasalic linking up with Kramaric. Support is provided in the form of Modric on the halfway line, gives it back to Kramaric, and Croatia get themselves a free kick and alleviate what was growing Brazil pressure. Yeah,
this you can definitely feel. Casemiro goes in the book here for that challenge then on the Croatian man. Maybe a little bit harsh, but we'll see again if there was... it's just a little pull of the arm. He's going anywhere, really. I think that's a harsh one, but in terms of the play now, we're getting close to that 70-minute mark that we mentioned in this second half, that if we get to there, Croatia are probably happy to try and get towards extra time and 0-0, and they are a lot deeper in their play in terms of the midfield have come back, and the striker in Kramaric, he's definitely come back, so they're defending much deeper, and they're inviting pressure onto them, which is a dangerous game against a team like Brazil, because Brazil in that passage of play for about 5 minutes were playing with it midway through Croatia's half, really. Everyone was there, bar the goalkeeper, Alisson.
As we mentioned with Croatia as well, the Masters are going the distance in these knockout stages, taken to penalties by Japan. Their matches in the round of 16 and the quarterfinals in 2018 went to penalties against Denmark and Russia. They needed extra time to beat England in the semi-finals of that competition. They've got no qualms about taking this the full 120 minutes and beyond. The emphasis you feel, as it has been for the majority of the game, is with Brazil to try and do something different, to try and get their noses in front and force Croatia's hand. Kovacic has it for Croatia, will feed it back to Borna Sosa. We are approaching the final 20 minutes then of this game, the regulation 90 minutes. Anyway, we could be going a lot further than that with the score still Croatia 0, Brazil 0. Hand you over to James to take you through to the end of 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think Bruno Petkovic is stripped off and ready to come on as the ball goes out of play on the far side. I think Petkovic most likely will be coming on to replace Andrej Kramaric, but the sub hasn't been made yet, but I'm pretty sure I saw the number 16 on the shorts then of Petkovic, the Dinamo Zagreb man. 6 goals from 26 international caps. It's not the most staggering record, but certainly fresh legs, I think, that he will bring on when he eventually comes onto the field of play. As Croatia now just knocking it around on halfway. Again, there's not a concerted effort from Brazil to all press at once, isn't it? It's one, maybe two go, and Croatia can easily just knock it around. They can get a breather now, which is exactly what they want, and they can start to sort of focus themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they're really good at keeping the ball, but Brazil need to put on a bit more pressure, like Anthony did try and do there. He's fouled Kovacic, but at least he's putting the doubt in the mind of a Croatia player that not going to have all the time in the world in possession. And there needs to be a little bit more of that from Brazil. They are good on the ball, we know that, they're brilliant on the ball, but they need to work perhaps a little bit harder to get it back, because it's actually a double Croatia change being warmed up as well, because Nikola Vlasic looks like he might be about to come on, and suggest maybe that could be Pasalic to be replaced as well.
Yeah, I think Pasalic he's sort of gone out of the game a little bit in the second half, hasn't he? He's done a lot of work down that right side. He's tracked back and he's helped out Juranovic, so that's worked well. But yeah, it looks like it will be Vlasic that'll be coming on, and what will be his fourth appearance. He started the very first game, Nikola Vlasic, and missed a good chance at the end of the first half, and that 0-0 draw, and hasn't really started since. As Croatia coming forward, a shot on the turn then by Kramaric then, and has he just gone a little bit too robust into the back then of Rodrigo? He has, and Michael Oliver gives a free kick, and which Brazil will take after this double change has been made. So it will be Petkovic coming on and Vlasic then for Croatia. We think we probably called it right with Kramaric and Pasalic as the two that will come off the field of play. Perisic, of course, he stays on, he's experienced, and he's got that. I know he doesn't score that many anymore, but he's still got that goal threat about him.
He has, and I think I'm right in saying that he is now Croatia's leading scorer at World Cup finals as well, after he netted against Japan in the previous round. So yeah, he's the experienced header as well. He's been there, done that in these situations, so makes sense to keep him on. Kramaric in no hurry at all to make his way off. Neither he or Pasalic, as those two players are being replaced. Petkovic and Vlasic on. Bruno Petkovic, say he didn't even last an hour starting against Japan. His performance was actually criticised in the final third, but he's a big physical presence up there, more of a physical presence than the man he's replaced, Kramaric. So if Croatia do need to go long at points, or they need that presence in either penalty area, then he's certainly an option.
Yeah, as we are getting closer to the dreaded extra time when it comes for myself and Tom, but what we 17 minutes plus any stoppage time to go, and again it's been quite a free-flowing second half, a few changes, so if there's no big stoppages you expect there'll be around 3 minutes maybe added on as Brazil come over halfway. Is with Silva, Thiago Silva then, who hasn't really been that troubled in this game so far, I have to say. Livakovic has pulled off a few good stops in this second half, but nothing world class. There have been solid saves, but ones you would expect him to make. Maybe the Paqueta one was probably the best when that was toe poked and nearly past him. Is coming forward now as Anthony on the right. I tell you what, he takes a huge dive. That should be a yellow card when they come back to it and play is stopped eventually. As Perisic has it, plays it inside to Kovacic. That's a heavy first touch as Anthony gets it back. Now he lays it into the path of Casemiro. Now it's with Neymar. Neymar driving towards the edge of the box. Then he just overruns it though, and he was hounded quickly. It will go out for a throw for Brazil on the left. But that is a horrendous dive from Anthony.
Yeah, I really want to see it again. I'm hoping the balls are going in the back of the net now, because I don't want that dive to get forgotten. I want to look at it in slow motion in all its glory, because it looks like he cuts inside and just throws himself to the ground with Perisic. I think the Croatian player who was closest to him, but there was no contact whatsoever. It's really poor from Anthony. We will get a replay now. Oh. Yeah, Perisic feints as if he's going to stick his right leg out, and Anthony just throws himself to the ground. Perisic keeps his leg where it was, and that's really poor. Yeah, Michael Oliver, the ball hasn't gone out of play yet, has it? But I don't think he will, but I hope he goes back and books Anthony.
He should, because, like you said, Perisic has motioned to stick his leg out, and he hasn't, and Anthony's sort of seen it start to go and thought, oh, yes, I'm going over this, and then it just fell onto the floor. He's not made contact with anything. Yeah, hopefully Michael Oliver goes back and gives him what he deserves there, which would be a yellow card, as still goalless then in this opening quarter-final of World Cup 2022. Netherlands against Argentina at 7 p.m. to come. Obviously got England against France tomorrow evening. Morocco, Portugal is the appetizer before that one on Saturday. 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock, those two games. But are we going to get a goal in regulation time, Tom?
It's looking less and less likely, isn't it? And quite frankly, the Netherlands and Argentina to go the distance as well. So we could have a lot of football to watch this afternoon and this evening as Militao, the latest Brazilian player, to throw himself to the ground. Just one thing to watch out for. Mateo Kovacic is just looking a little bit tired. He's miscontrolled a couple of easy passes in recent minutes, and there was a wince as well after his latest poor touch. I'm not sure if there's something wrong with him or if he was just a little tired and a little frustrated that he wasn't able to keep the ball in play.
Yeah, we've got some options to bring on. Lovro Maia is probably the most likely candidate. He's come on a few times as a substitute, the Rennes man, so potential that he could come on with the fresh legs, but he won't want to lose Kovacic because he is such an integral player. Some stats here at the start of the game. It's either no one's covered as much ground in the World Cup for Croatia or potentially in the whole tournament than Mateo Kovacic, which shows you how much he gets around the pitch and how much work they put in that midfield. As Rodrigo now is coming forward for Brazil, he finds Richarlison, now Neymar into the penalty area, tries to go at the near post, and that's another save by Livakovic. Again, he doesn't commit himself. Really good goalkeeping. Neymar's waiting for the keeper to throw himself to the floor so he can go around him, but strong keeping.
It's brilliant goalkeeping. As you say, I think he's done his homework on exactly how Brazil like to finish. Neymar in particular, he doesn't want to go down too early and give him the option just to dink it over the goalkeeper. Great play from Livakovic.
It is corner in towards the near post, is missed, but eventually it's cleared away. Now Croatia are actually trying to run this one out as Modric has wrestled to the floor from behind, and that will be a yellow card as well. So the cards are coming out of the pocket with a little bit more regularity from Michael Oliver now. Just see this one again. Modric trying to run away from his marker. I tell you what, it's poor for Marquinhos, really. He just runs through the back of Luka Modric. He can have no complaints.
No, he can't. It's a clear yellow card. He didn't really need to give it away. I know he's worried about the counter-attack, but...
Tell you what, he nearly nutmegs him there, Neymar, just seeing that replay.
Yeah, it's brilliant, wasn't it? He's so close to doing so, but credit to Livakovic. He comes out quickly. It's a carbon copy of the chance Neymar had earlier. Left-hand side of the penalty area, angled slightly against him. Livakovic is out so fast, it just doesn't give anywhere for Neymar to go other than try the nutmeg, and the goalkeeper quickly got that left leg closed and was able to divert the ball away.
Yeah, good goalkeeping there. You'd say Livakovic, for the saves he's made, is on for player of the match in the second half. I mean, Juranovic, for how he's played as well. You'd probably give it to one of those two, although again the midfield have worked hard. I think Kovacic, Brozovic has been good, but Brozovic is, for me, is just sort of petering out of the game a little bit because he is yellow carded. He's had that yellow card for some time, and maybe the energy levels are sapping. Mentioned before, Lovro Maia could come on and just offer a little bit more there, fresh legs, and just try and it's not really stem the attacks that are coming from Brazil because there's not many at the moment. But saying that, they are trying to come forward now as Neymar's pass is just a little bit behind Richarlison. Now Modric has it as Croatia try and break out from the back, and then there's a foot that comes in. Referee gives a free kick to Croatia, and again the frustrations are aimed towards Michael Oliver.
Yeah, and just think about that Croatian midfield trio. I said Kovacic looking a bit tired. Brozovic on the yellow card, and he's the base, isn't he, of that midfield? And he's going to need to make a few challenges, isn't he, between now and then? It's just whether does Latko Dalic trust his bench? And it's very harsh on them because it's always going to be a step down because those three are so good. But does he want to take those three off, even if they are tiring or on a yellow card, and bring on a potentially weaker player in that position?
Yeah, it's hard as well. I mean, Brozovic is on a yellow, so he can't really make a challenge. Kovacic and Modric are yellow cards away from being suspended for the semi-final, so they'll be careful about what they're doing. And yeah, it's a difficult one. All that midfield three at the minute for Croatia are sort of technically all on yellow cards to potentially miss the semi-final if one of them gets another one. So it's a fine balancing that for them as well. As Brazil have possession just over halfway. It's Marquinhos now, recently yellow carded for Brazil. Finds the feet of Richarlison, but then he can't get his pass towards Casemiro, and again now Modric is driving forward. In the end, Casemiro is just bundling back. He's not really busting a gut to get back, as it's actually Richarlison who's come all the way to win it back for Brazil. Casemiro just looks like he's in a world of his own.
Yeah, tracking back, he is struggling. That's twice against Modric now. Modric has just burst away from him whilst carrying the ball. The problem for Croatia there was once Modric played it into Petkovic, I think Vlasic made the inverted run from right to left, and there was no one else for Petkovic to find.
Yeah, Sosa now faced up against Anthony. Anthony then tries to cut in between two defenders. Now a ball comes in towards the far post. It finds Rodrigo. He brings it down then, trying to work room for a shot as Casemiro does. Oh, sorry, Paqueta actually has a low bundling shot, but it's an easy save in the end for Livakovic. Didn't quite catch it right. But Anthony, that's better from him, and that may have actually been a free kick if they hadn't put the ball in.
Yeah, Michael Oliver didn't signal for the advantage, but it worked out that way anyway for Brazil. The set from Rodrigo for Paqueta just almost spilt out of the grasp of Livakovic, but he reacted quickly enough to gather at the second attempt before anyone in a yellow shirt could sniff the danger out.
I have to say, Croatia have not really done anything to suggest that they're going to try come forward in the second half, bar maybe the first 5 minutes of the second half. They've not been under undue pressure from Brazil, but I mean, Alisson could have had his deck chair out, really, couldn't he?
Yeah, he could. And the thing for Croatia, they're playing on a very, very fine line, because if Brazil nick this in the final 10 minutes, then there's going to be a lot of what-ifs and frustrations from the Croatian supporters. But if they can hang on, take it through the extra time, take it to penalties, 0-0 go for on penalties, then Zlatko Dalic will be heralded as a hero, won't he? But I think there's at least a chance or two in this for Brazil in the final 10 minutes, and I wouldn't be that surprised if they end up taking one.
Yeah, see what can happen then in the remaining minutes that we have of regulation time, as Brazil have it just over halfway. Thiago Silva out towards Anthony on the right. He hasn't had much of an impact so far, Anthony, since coming on, apart from the cross before. Well, not the cross, it was a nice little dart inside, but he'd have the horrendous dive, which Michael Oliver never came back for. Never gave him retrospective action for taking a tumble. As Croatia now work it out towards the far right side for Juranovic. He chips it down the line. A little bit of space now for them to try and work into. Neymar's actually doing a bit of tracking back, and Brazil have scrambled possession now as they come forward now with Casemiro over halfway. Looking up for options, looking for support. He just dinks it out towards the left for Rodrigo. Rodrigo now going up against Vlasic onto the right foot, then just dinks it back into the path of Casemiro. He then puts a flat delivery in, and the header is towards goal from Richarlison. It's behind though for a goal kick. It's hard, they've all got the same hairstyle, all those top players now from Brazil. They've all got the blonde tops.
Yeah, I wonder if they got a deal at the local barbers. I'm not sure, but difficult chance that for Richarlison, stretching, stooping to get his head on the ball and couldn't quite divert it on target. It's been quite a frustrating afternoon, hasn't it, for Richarlison up front. He's got through a lot of work up there, but he's been feeding off scraps and trying to link the plays. A lot of the time he's spent with his back towards goal, and he just hasn't quite had the service that he certainly had it in the previous games at this tournament.
Yeah, but they don't pay the fiver I used to for my haircut. It's 20 quid now. Oof, inflation. As Croatia have possession back inside there, and off as Kovacic drives forward. Lovely play by him. Actually, it's Vlasic who's having a run forward, and then he's eventually taken down then. Sliding challenge on him. No yellow card coming out here. Perisic is asking the question. We're going to see another change for Brazil very shortly. I tell you what, Danilo is lucky. He is so lucky. He's already on a yellow, and he's just taken out Vlasic there.
Yeah, slightly studs up as well. Painful one for Vlasic, and maybe the position of the pitch just helped Danilo out. Maybe Michael Oliver didn't see it as clearly as we have done on the replay. As this third Brazilian change, another attacking player going off. I mentioned it hasn't really been Richarlison's day. He's replaced, and with no Gabriel Jesus available now to Tita, it's going to be Pedro, the third choice centre forward, coming on the Flamengo player for just his fourth cap.
Yeah, one goal from his 3 caps before this, makes his 4th appearance. What can he do? Can he change things up? Martinelli must be a little bit frustrated for how his form's been for Arsenal in the Premier League. You know, top of the table they are, and then doesn't really get a sniff of an opportunity at this World Cup, unfortunately for him. But you never know, there's still more chances for Tite to make changes. Could be a good one to bring on at extra time, which is what we are heading to at the moment. We've got 6 minutes of normal time to go, plus any stoppages. Juranovic is signalling that he's going to launch this one into the box. It's a fair distance out, pretty much midway through Brazil's half on the far right with this throw, but He fancies it. He's Rory delapping it into the area, which is what he does now. It's a decent throw, looking for Petkovic. It comes down to Vlasic in the area, trying to get a shot away, which he does, but it's blocked out, and Brazil have possession back, and now Neymar will look to run this one out from his own defensive third. Gets challenged, but it's back into the path of Marquinhos. Now Thiago Silva. Ooh, that is composure. Gives it back to Alisson, who plays it straight out, thrown to Croatia. Nervy little moments here for Brazil.
That is nervy. If Petkovic just read what Thiago Silva was going to do, he could have nipped in and intercepted that pass, but he wasn't expecting it, the big centre forward. But first time in half an hour that Croatia have had a little bit of sustained time inside Brazil's defensive third.
Yeah, I tell you what, I would have got Juranovic over for the throw, but Sosa now was trying to drive and field, but he never had that one under control, and Brazil have got it back, and now Brazil are countering quickly. That's lovely play, Rodrigo to Neymar, driving over halfway is the PSG. Man, now he does play it out towards that left-hand side. Danilo, can he get a ball in? Just gives it back inside towards Neymar, who's under pressure, gets it back to Danilo again, now back in field once more. Casemiro picks it up. Oh, lovely, great tracking back that is from Petkovic, the big man, but then Croatia are giving it away, and Brazil coming forward once more. Anthony just inside the area, lays it towards the edge of the box where a shot comes in. Oh, and then another snapshot, and it's taken to deflection. Will be a corner kick. It was Eder Militao who had the initial, well, the last two efforts there. Corner kick.
Yeah, the first one blocked, and it just fell nicely for him on his left foot, and there was a Croatian defender who just nicked in with a really important toe. Otherwise, Eder Militao would have had a clean sight on Livakovic's goal.
Yeah, I think Petkovic and Casemiro was about to wind up to hit one from distance as well as the corner comes in towards. That is shocking from Anthony. It's chested away. That's how poor that corner is. They'll pick it back up with Rodrigo. Now he plays it back towards halfway, out towards this near side again. Oh, and then it's played straight out. It'll be a throw to Croatia. What on earth was that passage of play by Brazil?
Complete waste. A set piece that worked, engineered a couple of opportunities in the lead up to the set piece, and then it just takes all the momentum out of it when you don't beat the first man, and then to add insult to injury when they recycle the ball, Brazil, Casemiro sends it straight out of play. There's a lot of talented attacking Brazilians watching the game today. The cameras just panned to the original Ronaldo, if you like. Rivaldo's in the crowd. Roberto Carlos I spotted earlier on as well. They're all watching on. They all want to see Brazil get through to the semi-finals, those players, but at the moment Croatia are continuing to stand firm.
Yeah, I think everyone would like to see Brazil-Argentina semi-final, wouldn't they? But who knows, it could be Croatia-Netherlands. It's not a sure thing that Neymar and Co will be getting through. What could be Neymar's last World Cup? It is going to be Messi's last World Cup as well. Will it end in a whimper? You'd suspect it's probably Ronaldo's last World Cup, but you never know. You never know with the Portuguese. If he wants to continue, he might be able to. There's a Croatia possession on the edge of their own penalty area. Less than 3 minutes of added time to go. Pedro hasn't had much impact since coming on, but Croatia at the moment are just managing the game quite well. They're happy to take this to extra time. They know Brazil are the ones that are under pressure here. Croatia are underdogs coming into it, so any result for them, how far they take it, they won't be satisfied, but they'll be more content. Brazil, there is the weight of the nation on them. I mean, I read stories today that pretty much Brazil is shut down about 3-4 hours before kick-off. All supermarkets, all shops, everything like that, they close for the day or they're reduced hours because football in Brazil means so much to them.
Yeah, it's everything. The World Cup is everything. The World Cup is Brazil. That's the team you think of, isn't it, when you mention the World Cup? And it's been 20 years since they last lifted the trophy. The pressure really is on.
Yeah, maybe a chance here for Croatia. Ball into the edge of the penalty area. Petkovic brings it down. He's trying to wait for support. The ball has just been toe poked away. Croatia still have it. It is now with Brozovic, who you said about 10 minutes ago that he was looking a little bit leggy, but he really looks leggy now in these latter exchanges as he can't get to that ball. I'll tell you what, Sosa's done superbly to keep that in. Gives it back to Brozovic. Brozovic had given up. He thought it was going out. As Brazil just putting a little bit of a squeeze on for the trainee, who go back towards halfway inside their own side of the pitch now with Gvardiol. Brozovic back to Modric. Still bustling around as Modric still looks as fresh as ever at 37 years of age. I mean, I'm 32 and I would be absolutely whacked about 10 minutes of this game gone. As Croatia have possession just over the halfway line. Modric goes for a raking diagonal ball. It's a good one as well. Perisic, he tries to volley it, falls towards Sosa. He tries to deliver it into the box. It's a terrible ball though. It's a sort of ducking header away. As now Brazil try to counter, and they have it with Neymar on the halfway line. He finds Rodrigo. Good first touch by Rodrigo. Now he's driving forward, trying to get the ball out of his feet. Sort of got stuck under his right toe. And now Croatia managed to have bodies back and win it. But it's sort of almost for Brazil. But again, they're not over-committing players forward, because it's got to the stage where they're worried that maybe Croatia could hit them on the counter.
Well, you notice that with that break forward there, Neymar picks it up 10 yards inside his own half as a flip ball over the top looking for Pedro. Is cut out by Dejan Lovren, but yeah, he's picked it up 10 yards inside his own half. Neymar gets his head up and there's no one in front of him, he has to wait.
Yeah, it does indeed, as we're almost going to find out how much stoppage time we have now in this game, as Anthony just sort of slide passes one inside, finds Casemiro, now Neymar then holding it, gives it out towards his right hand side for Anthony once more. Adair looks knackered inside of him, just he misses him and just puts the cross into the box as Croatia clear the lines once more, entering or ticking into added time now as I speak, as again they have it with Paqueta, who again he's gone quite quiet in the second half as well. Paqueta having had a chance around sort of the hour mark. 4 minutes of added time has gone up, which we've had around 15-20 seconds of, as Neymar has it now, edge of the area, lays it into the path of Rodrigo. Rodrigo tries to square it then for Pedro on the edge of the 6-yard box, and that's clear behind for a corner.
Yeah, Brazil just going through the gears once more. Neymar and Rodrigo have linked up quite well actually since Rodrigo's came on down that left hand side, and that's where Brazil have been looking at the most dangerous over the last 15-20 minutes or so.
Yeah, takes the corner, Rodrigo, in swinging delivery, it's again headed away at the near post. Have we seen a corner beat the first man?
No, it's been really poor actually, hasn't it, from both teams in this game. Even the corners that have ended up being dangerous, there's all been that low flat delivery in towards the front post. We haven't seen any real variation. We haven't seen a short corner really in this game, which, considering the attacking talent we have on show, you think would have been a little bit more imagination.
Yeah, we've seen short free kicks which haven't worked, but yeah, it just annoys me. We've seen it a lot in this World Cup actually, not beating the first man. Croatia nearly, they won the ball on the edge of the area, then nearly gave it away, but it's supposed to be smashed clear over halfway. And Petkovic, great play there as he's giving chase. He's eventually swarmed by 3 Brazilian defenders, but he kind of does well to sort of run down the clock a little bit, as we're 2.5 minutes away from extra time. Long ball forward is dealt with by Lovren. Good chest down by him, but that's a poor ball back though by Perisic, and there's actually an arm in though from Anthony, and the free kick is given. But you have to say, Dejan Lovren, for a player who kind of went off the radar a bit in terms of, you felt like his career was meandering away a little bit when he left the Premier League, but plays his club football for Zenit now. He's had a fantastic partnership with Guardiola in this World Cup.
He has. He's been absolutely superb, and neither of them, without tempting fate from their point of view, have put a foot wrong, have they? In the finals, a good blend of youth and experience. And you'd imagine Guardiola's learning lots from Lovren as this tournament has developed. But yeah, those experienced players out there for Croatia have been so good, and they're so important to this. The way Zlatko Dalic has his side playing it, it's not necessarily the prettiest on the eye. They're trying to stifle Brazil, but those experienced players are so good at doing it.
Yeah, as we've got less than 2 minutes of the full added on to go. It's Croatia with possession. Diagonal ball out towards the right. It's brought down well by Juranovic. First time volley inside to Brozovic. Brozovic delivers one into the box. Takes a big deflection up into the air. Marquinhos gets his head to it towards the edge of the area. Then it's completed. The clearance by Paqueta, and Rodrigo. Such a silky first touch. And then he's brought down. Free kick to Brazil. I tell you what, he's looked really good when he's come on, Rodrigo.
He has. He's tried to drive and run at defenders, and it's Modric who brings it down. And I just thought for a second that Michael Oliver was going to get his yellow card out, because he was technically stopping a breakaway, Luka Modric, and usually a yellow card will follow when you do that. We saw Marquinhos do it for Brazil 15-20 minutes or so ago, but Michael Oliver just
tried to step out. He tried to stop and step out away from it, didn't he?
Possibly, and the benefit of the doubt has been given by the referee. I don't mind that. You don't want to see players picking up yellow cards that potentially rules them out of major tournament semi-finals.
You don't want to see Gaza-Tears again, as Neymar has possession now. 30 seconds before added on. Is there going to be a late sting in the tail here and a winner for Brazil? We said for a large part of this game that one goal would probably do it for either side. You thought for Croatia it would, as a shot comes in from Anthony from, that's a good 30 yards out. Takes one bounce, skips into the keeper's arms, and Livakovic will just sit on this one. Really a good strike. It bounced actually twice just before the keeper as well, but an easy stop for him in the end. Head on, hands on head, head on hands. Hands on head for some of the Brazil supporters, and Michael Oliver has seen enough. He's brought an end to this game, so they can't be separated in regulation time. We're going into extra time, full time. This one it finished Croatia 0, Brazil 0.
We are heading to extra time, the first quarter-final of this year's World Cup. It's Croatian. Booked at the 2022 World Cup. It's myself, Tom McGarry, and James Mason talking you through this afternoon's extended coverage. And James, the pressure's on Brazil. We've been mentioning this all game. The expectation is they win this, they go through to the semi-finals. Croatia are the underdogs, and they've frustrated Brazil for 90 minutes and beyond. And we're going to need to see a little bit more from each side in this extra time period.
Yeah, they need to do something, because they, mentioned in the first half, they don't want to leave it to the lottery of penalties, which I think Croatia, they'll be very happy to go to penalties now. With the fact that Livakovic did well in the last shootout, they'll be thinking, yeah, well, we can beat Brazil, at least when it comes to that sort of 50-50 chance, you would say, when it comes to spot kicks, that they can go through. So the pressure's on Brazil. They've got to ramp it up. Whether they can break down this Croatian side, I'm not too sure. The thing that Croatia have got is a few more subs in their locker. They only used 2 in that first 90 minutes.
Yeah, Brazil used 3. You do get an extra one in the extra time period. You get a total of 6. And as Neymar will take an early corner at the start of this period of extra time for Brazil, it was flicked on at the front post by Pedro, one of the substitutes used during the regulation period. No changes have been made, incidentally, by either manager in that period between regulation time and extra time, as Lucas Paqueta has gone down trying to retrieve the ball on the near touchline for Brazil, and seems to be in a bit of pain. But James, I can see you gesticulating next to me. You're not quite agreeing with the West Ham midfielder.
No, well, to be fair, I thought he was insinuating that Juranovic had made contact with him. I think when he plants his foot, actually, Paqueta, it might jar it ever so slightly, but I think he'll be okay. But I tell you what, that was a great chance of Pedro. That ball into the box, he doesn't make contact on it like he should.
Yeah, he's trying to flick it towards goal and just doesn't get enough on it. It could still have fell to a player in yellow coming in at the far post, but Croatia were able to scramble the ball clear. Paqueta is back on his feet, incidentally. He didn't get a free kick for that coming together with Juranovic. Quickly run you through the 11s as they stand now heading into extra time. Livakovic in goal for Croatia. Juranovic, Lovren, Gvardiol and Sosa still the back 4. Modric, Brozovic, Kovacic still the midfield 3. The only changes they've made over the course of the 90 minutes were in the final third. Vlasic and Petkovic entering the fray. Perisic is the other man in that front 3 for Brazil. Alisson in goal, Eder Militao, Marquinhos, Thiago Silva and Danilo the back 4. Lucas Paqueta and Casemiro in the 2 in midfield, with Anthony, Neymar and Rodrigo supporting Pedro up front. Anthony has gone down. He's not happy with a challenge from Borna Sosa, who in fairness did look like he had his finger almost in the mouth of Anthony there as he was challenging airily for the ball. Michael Oliver has had 1 or 2 difficult decisions to make in this game. The referee is now Croatia have a free kick 10 yards or so inside their own half.
It's the old fishhook move where you get the finger in the mouth and pull on the cheek, but it wasn't that bad. And the way Anthony goes down to try and insinuate that he's being caught is laughable. And then he springs up to his feet as quick as he went down when he realised he's not getting the free kick, and he remonstrates towards the official. I mean, he should have got booked in that second half for a horrible dive, Anthony, and I would have booked him there for having to go at the official. Yeah, it's just not what you want to see, but I think it's just frustrations boiling over.
Yeah, he did go down as if it was a literal fish hook in
the
mouth, didn't he?
That would have hurt.
Yeah, rather than just the little finger of Borna Sosa, and I don't think there was any intent necessarily there from the Croatia left back, as again those 2 players come together, and once more Anthony has ended up on the floor. This time he has got a free kick. He's very frustrated. He feels he's getting a rough deal from the referee. He was fouled there by Sosa, but the way he throws himself to the ground, it's really frustrating.
It's so frustrating to watch, because he arches the shoulders back and throws the head as if he's going to go down and hold his face, but he's only 2 hands into the chest. I mean, it's a contact sport at the end of the day, and he's not really sort of endearing himself to me.
No, as Danilo now comes forward for Brazil down the other side of the pitch, but there's the right-footed left back struggling to deliver the ball as he got towards the byline. Brazil are, though, as we're about 5 minutes into this period of extra time, they are trying to ask the questions, trying to find a way to stop this stubborn Croatian resistance. We're just looking back at a challenge as well between Brozovic and Neymar from a few seconds ago, and there was a bit of a kick out from Neymar on Marcelo Brozovic, who, in fairness to him, didn't make that much of it. I'm not even sure if he realised as he was falling to the ground, but there was plenty of aggression behind that from Neymar.
And again, it's the the attitude, the type of player that some of the Brazilians are when it gets into a bit of nitty-gritty and they get frustrated, hot-headed, you say, the tempers the boil over, and Neymar is one of those. And if you wind them up, then there's the chance that they could be sort of baited, you would say, into a bit of a silly challenge.
Yeah, it does just feel like it could potentially boil over this game over the course of extra time, which again you'd imagine would be playing into Croatia's hands. That's a brilliant turn from Antony. This time Sosa can get nowhere near him. Antony now breaking forward. Perisic is the man getting back to help out defensively for Croatia. Antony then played a really poor ball into Eder Militao, but he's got possession again. Finds Paqueta. Paqueta pulls it back to Casemiro, who works it out to the left-hand side. Rodrigo, will he fancy a strike? He's into the penalty area. Danilo's there in support. Danilo, right-footed clip ball towards the far post, headed clear by Sosa. Lovely turn then from Petkovic to get hold of possession for Croatia, but again he's isolated and loses out. Neymar picks it up for Brazil. Back towards Danilo, and they just slow the tempo down briefly, Brazil, as they work it back towards Marquinhos and across to Antony on the right hand side, heavily involved at this start of this extra time period. He floats a ball towards the far post, nodded down by Neymar. Will it break the way of Rodrigo? It might come back to Neymar on the edge of the penalty area as they try and keep the pressure on. A little give and go between Neymar and Paqueta doesn't quite come off. Was Modric fouled down on the edge of the area? Yes, he was. And again, that's experienced play from Luka Modric to draw the foul and ease the growing pressure.
Just enough at the moment for Croatia. It's just crucial little foots that are coming in, intercepting play. I mean, that was a lovely turn by Antony to start the initial move off, but such is the difference of Croatia because Perisic tracks all the way back then. He makes sure Antony can't have a run in at goal, and by the time Perisic has held him up, Sosa's got back and they've got everyone in position. Such is the difference, because I think that was Brazil and someone turned like that, you wouldn't get the likes of a Rodrigo or an Antony tracking back the other way.
Yeah, and it just shows the advantage of playing someone like Perisic, who's used to doing that defensive job as a wing-back for his club. As Croatia have got possession of the ball inside Brazil territory. Juranovic back towards Modric, who slips the ball nicely away from Pedro into the feet of Brozovic. He can't keep the ball moving out towards the left-hand side, though, as he's then coming to a challenge with Casemiro, but a free kick has been given Brazil's way, and Brazil are preparing another substitution, their fourth of the game. Alexandro, who's been out with a hip injury, missed the game against South Korea as a result. We've got Danilo filling in at left-back for Brazil as a right-footed player, but now it looks like Alexandro is going to come on, presumably for Danilo, which will give them a bit more balance and attacking threat on that side of the pitch.
Yeah, balance attacking threat, maybe someone, if Croatia break, to take a yellow card, because Danilo's already cautioned in this game. But I have to say, Croatia, even when they had a decent field position there was no urgency, there was no willingness really to try and create a chance. All it is just keeping possession away from their sort of half, their defensive third, for as long as they can and get to penalties. I can't see Croatia winning this one in extra time.
No, they're just hoping, and I think they've probably been hoping this since about 10 minutes in, that they could get 0-0 or certainly draw the match and go to penalties, and they'll take their chances. They've got plenty of experience, recent experience of penalty shootouts. As Rodrigo, dangerous ball into the box for Brazil. They don't want it to go all the way to penalties. Good cross from Rodrigo. I think it was Paqueta who was trying to get in at the far post, just couldn't get on the end of the ball. He's looked good though, Rodrigo, since coming on. We mentioned it towards the end of the 90 minutes. Out of the substitutes that have been introduced by TT, he's looked the most lively.
Yeah, he's definitely been involved more in the play, whereas Vinicius wasn't really. He was in and out, but Rodrigo's a constant threat, and his touch is just really good. I mean, he's a great player to watch, but that ball in just a little bit too heavy. Paqueta, and he was just nudged off it by Sosa as well, who I think Sosa, back in the side, we mentioned at the start of the game, he's had a really good match so far. Both full-backs out for Croatia.
Yes, Croatia now looking to come forward. Modric to Vlasic on the right-hand side. Early cross, cut out by Marquinhos. Bouncing ball now on the edge of the penalty area. Referee, I think he's going to give a foul against Kovacic, just for a little nudge into the back of Lucas Paqueta. It'll be a free kick to Brazil, which might give us the opportunity for Alexandro to be introduced, although, as I say, that Brazil have taken the free kick quickly. He's been waiting for a good 2 or 3 minutes on those sidelines. Alexandro, who we presume, he's been past fit to have some involvement, but you imagine he's only really got 15 or 20 minutes in the tank. Otherwise, we'd have seen him come on a lot earlier.
Yeah, you wonder. I mean, you wonder if Adair's maybe coming off and Danilo will switch out
Possibly.
to right back. I'm not too sure. Not seen a great deal of Adair, but Brazil coming forward now.
Yeah, it's Neymar in the left-hand channel, tries to flick it with the outside of his right boot in towards Lucas Paquetá, who again got into the penalty area. The ball comes to Eder Militao, who will work out to Antony on the right-hand side, being stood up by Perisic as he teeters into the penalty area before pulling it back to Eder Militao once more. Antony will again get hold of possession, but he's reluctant to put the ball into the penalty area, pulls it back to Thiago Silva, who will lift a right-footed ball into the box. Spectacular effort towards goal from Pedro. Then the bicycle kick attempt, he made contact with it, but not the required contact. And again, as we've seen with a lot of these Brazil efforts towards goal, they end up being very comfortable for Livakovic in the goal.
Yeah, that would have been spectacular from Pedro if that one had gone into the back of the net. It feels like it needs a spectacular finish to try and break the deadlock. Croatia, I mean, for how much people might not like their game plan, you know, they've approached it in a certain way. They've defended stoutly, and you know, they've said to Brazil, right, come on then, we're going to play like this. May hit you on the counter a bit, but have you got what it takes to get through us, to get past this? And so far, Brazil haven't had it. They've not been. It's not been as sort of easy as it was against South Korea for them, who they just cut through them very easily. Croatia said it was the sternest test they would have at this World Cup so far, and it's proved to be.
Yeah, Croatia have played to their strengths, which is their midfield and their defence. They're weaker in the final third, so they're not going to be throwing bodies forward as teams like Brazil would do, as Kovacic is actually breaking forward, and it's a good run into the penalty area. He tries to cut it back towards Petkovic and Vlasic, who are both waiting on the edge of the 6-yard box. Brazil, though, are able to get the ball clear. Casemiro, ball out to the right-hand side. A lovely touch from Paquetá, who looks like he is a lot higher up the pitch in this extra time period. And Militao getting involved, floats into Neymar. Uncharacteristically heavy touch from Neymar, and a really good challenge then from Lovren to pinch the ball. And now Modric will release Petkovic down the left-hand side. But again, the big Croatian striker is lagging the ball. But that's brilliant skill. Petkovic into the penalty area. He tees up Brozovic. Brozovic for Croatia. Fires over the top of the crossbar. That was the moment. Bruno Petkovic with a wry smile on his face. He had the skills there that Neymar would have been proud of. Teed up Brozovic, but a tired finish from the midfielder.
I mean, that's excellent. That is because Brazil don't think Petkovic had that in the locker, or he would even dare try that. But he drags the ball back to his left foot and then just nutmegs the Brazil defender on the inside. I mean, it's superb. And I thought, have a dig, go on, try and bend it in. But he did it. The ball was a little bit heavy for Brozovic. That's all I would say to to try and help out the midfielder. But it was a tired strike from Brozovic. It was somebody who couldn't quite get his body in position to have a decent strike.
In fairness to him, he did get up there, Brozovic, though, because he has looked tired since about the 55th minute in this game. But he's still out there on a yellow card, of course. But yeah, brilliant from Petkovic. Brazil's defenders didn't expect it from him. I'm not sure if he expected it from himself there, but it was brilliantly done by the substitute as Modric lifts the ball forward. It might just have sparked something in Croatia, that piece of play from Petkovic. Sosa can't win the challenge on the left-hand side, and now Antony bursting forward with pace. Modric is across. He doesn't want to put a challenge in. Neither does Kovacic. They're both on that tightrope. They're not on yellow cards in this game, but one yellow card would potentially rule them out of a semi-final. As again, Antony getting involved with Croatian players. This time Perisic. And Michael Oliver comes across and has a word with the two players in no uncertain terms, telling them to cut it out.
A hothead that Antony is. There's no need for him to get involved in that kind of challenge. I don't think Perisic's done anything bad. I think Perisic's come back, he's tracked him, he's put out a play. He might have said something to him, but there's no need for Antony to get involved in that.
No, not at all. As Rodrigo now down the left for Brazil, feeds it into Danilo. Danilo strikes towards goal. It's way over the top of the crossbar. It just reminds me that we're still waiting for Alexandro to come on. Maybe they've changed their minds there, Brazil, because he was stripped and ready for action.
Must have been an injury, but then they ran it off.
Yeah, it's 5 or 10 minutes ago, isn't it?
I thought it was Adair, because at the start of extra time, Adair looked like he was putting his Speedos on with how sort of high he was pulling his shorts up, and maybe he was just trying to stretch the leg out a bit, whether it was a quarter or a hammer. I don't really know what was going on, but maybe it was that. But yeah, it's very strange that he was literally ready to come on, stripped off.
Yeah, and they've had a last-minute change of mind. Brazil are in possession once again. We've got 10 seconds of the opening first half of extra time to go, plus any additional time that Michael Oliver may choose to add on. As a bustling run there from Eder Militao down the right, finds Antony, who settles for the throw. We have gone over the 15-minute mark then at the end of this first period of extra time. There will be 1 additional minute added on. 4 stoppages, so still a chance perhaps for Brazil, whose fans are still in very good voice in the stadium. Good atmosphere, you'd imagine, at the ground this afternoon. Both sets of supporters, though, will be getting increasingly nervous as we tick deeper and deeper into this extra time period. Neymar for Brazil gets it back from Rodrigo, edge of the area into Paqueta, who finds Neymar. Well, the goalkeeper and into the back of the net, and Brazil have their goal right at the end of the first period of extra time. It's brilliant from Neymar. He has equalled Pele's record as Brazil's all-time record scorer, his 77th goal for his country. He was at the start of that move, he was at the heart of it, and then he provided the clinical finish.
Clinical finish. I tell you what, that is what they needed, Brazil. They needed something special out of somewhere, and they've not got it in terms of how good the strike was. They've got it in how good the move, how good that build-up was from Neymar. It was all about the PSG man, wasn't it? He picks it up in Croatia, not putting that much pressure on. He just bursts into life very quickly. Lovely little 1-2, give and goes. It's Borna Sosa. He just doesn't think about the ball. He only thinks about trying to nudge Neymar away from it, and that's allowed Neymar to get to it, and Livakovic this time does commit himself, and Neymar has that split second to go around him. It's a really good take by Neymar. He created it, he finished it, and you'd say overall it's probably deserved.
Yeah, it's brilliant from Neymar. Lovely interchange of 1-2s, first with Rodrigo and then Paqueta inside the penalty area. He brushes off Sosa, who, as you say, possibly wasn't strong enough, but I think it's just the quality of the passing, isn't it, from Brazil in such a tight area that undoes Croatia's resilient defence, and he rounds Livakovic, and then even has the ability to lift it over Sosa, who's getting back on the line to provide the finish and send those Brazilian supporters into elation. They've gone absolutely wild. It's probably the last touch of the first period of extra time. Croatia aren't going to have long to dust themselves down and rethink. They're going to have to completely change their game plan now, heading into the final 15 minutes or so.
Oh yeah, he's going to have to take off some defensive-minded players and throw some attackers on. He's got 4 changes to make. Dakovic in this second part of extra time than when that starts, so he needs to change it up. I think you probably take off your Brozovic, you take off Sosa, someone like that, and you just put some forward-thinking players on.
Yeah, we have resumed actually, so it wasn't the last act of the first period of extra time. Croatia are looking to come forward. Juranovic into the penalty area. Petkovic can't control, and Anthony will lash the ball clear. Michael Oliver takes a look at his watch. The additional minute was just about up when Neymar scored his goal. We've had 3 minutes of stoppage time now. Eventually the referee does blow for half-time in extra time. It is Croatia 0, Brazil 1. Croatia 0, Brazil 1 at half-time in extra time. Finally, the deadlock broken, and it's a brilliant team goal. Neymar at the heart of it, linking up with Rodrigo, then Lucas Paqueta before providing the cool finish as he rounded goalkeeper Dominik Livakovic. Brazil in front. They are 15 minutes or so away from being the first side through to this year's World Cup semi-finals. Croatia, they're going to have to change their game plan and go for it in the time that remains. Croatia 0, Brazil 1. Croatia 0, Brazil 1 at half-time in extra time. Finally, the deadlock broken, and it's a brilliant team goal. Neymar at the heart of it, linking up with Rodrigo, then Lucas Paqueta before providing the cool finish as he rounded goalkeeper Dominik Livakovic. Brazil in front. They are 15 minutes or so away from being the first side through to this year's World Cup semi-finals. Croatia, they're going to have to change their game plan and go for it in the time that remains. Croatia 0, Brazil 1. Croatia 0, Brazil 1 at half-time in extra time. Finally, the deadlock broken, and it's a brilliant team goal. Neymar at the heart of it, linking up with Rodrigo, then Lucas Paqueta before providing the cool finish as he rounded goalkeeper Dominik Livakovic. Brazil in front. They are 15 minutes or so away from being the first side through to this year's World Cup semi-finals. Croatia, they're going to have to change their game plan and go for it in the time that remains. Croatia 0, Brazil 1. Croatia 0, Brazil 1 at half-time in extra time. Finally, the deadlock broken, and it's a brilliant team goal. Neymar at the heart of it, linking up with Rodrigo, then Lucas Paqueta before providing the cool finish as he rounded goalkeeper Dominik Livakovic. Brazil in front. They are 15 minutes or so away from being the first side through to this year's World Cup semi-finals. Croatia, they're going to have to change their game plan and go for it in the time that remains. Croatia 0, Brazil 1. Croatia 0, Brazil 1 at half-time in extra time. Finally, the deadlock broken, and it's a brilliant team goal. Neymar at the heart of it, linking up with Rodrigo, then Lucas Paqueta before providing the cool finish as he rounded goalkeeper Dominik Livakovic. Brazil in front. They are 15 minutes or so away from being the first side through to this year's World Cup semi-finals. Croatia, they're going to have to change their game plan and go for it in the time that remains. Croatia 0, Brazil 1. Croatia 0, Brazil 1 at half-time in extra time. Finally, the deadlock broken, and it's a brilliant team goal. Neymar at the heart of it, linking up with Rodrigo, then Lucas Paqueta before providing the cool finish as he rounded goalkeeper Dominik Livakovic. Brazil in front. They are 15 minutes or so away from being the first side through to this year's World Cup semi-finals. Croatia, they're going to have to change their game plan and go for it in the time that remains. Croatia 0, Brazil 1. Croatia 0, Brazil 1 at half-time in extra time. Finally, the deadlock broken, and it's a brilliant team goal. Neymar at the heart of it, linking up with Rodrigo, then Lucas Paqueta before providing the cool finish as he rounded goalkeeper Dominik Livakovic. Brazil in front. They are 15 minutes or so away from being the first side through to this year's World Cup semi-finals. Croatia, they're going to have to change their game plan and go for it in the time that remains. Croatia 0, Brazil 1.
Well, it's a very warm welcome back then to our unofficial off-tube studio commentary of this World Cup quarter-final in the second half of extra time then, which we're underway for now. Croatia right to left in this final 15 minutes as they try and find an equaliser to send this one to penalties. Croatia 0, Brazil 1. That goal from Neymar in added time in the first section of extra time. As Modric has possession now. There has been a change made each as well at that little mini interval. Lovro Majer coming on for Mateo Kovacic for Croatia, and Alexandro, the very delayed change, as he looked like he was coming on well in the first half of extra time. He's on instead of Eder Militao, who we did spot may have picked up a little tweak at some point, but just a change at the back then for Brazil, change in midfield then for Croatia. And Fred as well, coming on for Lucas Paqueta. So 3 changes in total in that mini break. 2 for Brazil, 1 for Croatia. Free kick though for Vetrani as Modric then swings it close towards the area. It's headed away. Modric's set pieces have been pretty poor. The execution, the quality of delivery, as they are working it forward now. It's with Brozovic. Brozovic back down the line then towards Majer. Majer then looking up, trying to get a cross in. It's a low one. Fred gets his foot to it first though. That's all Manchester United midfield then for Brazil, and Casemiro and Fred, as this ball is swung inside them. We picked back up then by Gvardiol, certainly on the front foot at the beginning of this second period of extra time of Croatia. Perisic digs out a cross towards the far post. It's overhit though. It will be picked back up though by Modric. No, it won't. He can't control it. Out for a throw for Brazil. I just wonder if Brazil, if they just sit in and soak up pressure, whether they have the minerals to hold out.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's hard to see Croatia, based on what we've seen not only in this game but in the World Cup in general, creating enough in these final 10-15 minutes to get an equalising goal. But maybe if Brazil starts sitting back and trying to soak up pressure, that could play into Croatia's hands. They've brought on Lovro Majer to provide a bit more energy in the middle of the park. I think that was long overdue in all truth, but it's going to be very difficult. I'd be very surprised if Croatia can get themselves an equalising goal and force the game to penalties.
Yeah, the back now with the goalkeeper Livakovic, slightly underhit pass then towards Gvardiol, as Pedro, in credit to him, is giving a good bit of chase and press, but he's only doing it by himself as Croatia now have possession. Neymar's just trudging. He's just trudging back at the moment. No desire to try and help out his team defensively. I suppose when he's just potentially come up with the winner, then he gets that sort of leeway, but as a coach, I think you'd still want him tracking back in this second part of extra time, as Croatia are trying to come forward with a bit more sort of momentum about their play. Modric now on the halfway line, faced up against Fred now as they work it down this left-hand side of the field. Brozovic into the path then of Perisic. Perisic then digs out across. It's a good-looking one. Oh, and there's an attempted header at the far post, and it's missed by everybody. It's picked back up though by Rodrigo. He then chips one over halfway, looking for Neymar, but it's been tracked well by Gvardiol, and Gvardiol's taken down by a stray foot by Neymar. Back with Livakovic. He might have actually got caught in the nether regions there, Gvardiol, with the studs of Neymar, but that was a good ball in from Perisic.
Yeah, it was, and it looked like Neymar was the other Neymar looked like he's the favourite, but Perisic's ball in at the on the left-hand side for Croatia. Really good, decent delivery to the far post. They've got Petkovic in there now, haven't they, as an out-and-out aerial threat as Modric gets down that left-hand side once more and wins a corner for his team. They're going to give it a go, Croatia. They may as well lose this game, conceding another couple of goals in extra time, but go for it rather than just sitting back and hoping. And that seems to be what they're doing. Modric higher up the pitch, Perisic more involved. It's promising signs at the very least.
Yeah, can Modric get better delivery in from this corner? He hasn't beaten the first man from pretty much all of the free kicks and corners as they're getting ready to make another change here, and it's Ante Budimir, the Osasuna man. He'll be coming onto the field of play for Croatia, and it's going to be Borna Sosa who is the man coming off. So defender off and a striker on, that's what you'd expect, but Budimir at least can come on now from this corner kick, and he can maybe attack it. He looks like he's a decent size on him. Only one goal for his country, but 17th cap is coming on to win now. Can Modric get good delivery? They go short actually. It's played back to the feet of Maya. Now it's with Brozovic. Back to Maya on this left-hand side. The momentum's gone a bit out of this now. It's back with Modric on the left. Goes back towards Brozovic on his inside. Now it's in towards the feet of Maya. Maya looks up, delivers one towards a far post. Then it's brought down in the area by Petkovic. Not great though. And Brazil get a little foot in. It's Casemiro. He gets it towards Neymar. And now Brazil are trying to counter-attack as Neymar has it on the halfway line. As Perisic is trying to sort of gesture to tackle. Comes off Neymar last. Throw into Croatia. Oh, Petkovic, if he could have just brought that down first time.
He has his clear strengths and weaknesses, Petkovic, which is why he's not a regular starter in this Croatia side. It just a little bit slow. He couldn't bring it down. He was waiting for the ball. I think he should have just helped that back across first time on the volley into the danger zone and hoped someone could get on the end of it, friend or foe. But yeah, once he tried to bring it down, Brazil were always going to snuff the danger out.
Yeah, it was a ball into the penalty by Modric, is headed away by Rodrigo, then the clearance is completed, but Croatia have it back on halfway as Lovren now will come forward. Neymar giving absolutely no chase again. Lovren delivers one into the area, decent looking ball. That's a solid header away by Thiago Silva, and the free kick is given as well towards Brazil. And Silva will take his time on the floor, I think, before getting back up. It was Budimir who was trying to challenge with him. But at the minute, when Croatia are coming forward, which they are quite a bit now, Brazil are defending with 10 because Neymar's not giving any sort of chase.
Yeah, most other teams in the world, you'd imagine, going 1-0 up in extra time, you'd take Neymar off. Fred would come on for Neymar if this was most other national teams. But this is Brazil. They want to keep their flair, exciting players on. He's their talisman, Neymar, so he stayed on the pitch. But whether he's really going to have much of a positive effect with Brazil defending for this final period of extra time, I don't know. You know why he's on it, to catch Croatia on the counter-attack and potentially get another goal to wrap up the game. But when they're out of possession, they're going to be carrying Neymar a bit.
Yeah, it was a long ball downfield. Croatia managed to get possession as they just lump it forward, looking for the head then of Petkovic. That's a good strong header by Alexandro. Back on halfway now, Rodrigo is giving a good account of himself anyway, but unfairly, says the referee Michael Oliver. Free kick to Croatia. They've got 8 minutes of normal time of extra time to go, then plus any added time on top of it, as Pedro just hauls his man to the floor. Brozovic, free kick given, which Croatia take quickly. It's now with Modric. The thing is with Croatia, they haven't looked like scoring. That's the issue for them. I mean, it's decent balls coming in from either flank now, but no one's getting on the end of it. Marquinhos and Thiago Silva, they're standing tall so far. As Maya has it on that far right side, he's added a little bit of energy, fresh legs, but again, they're not cutting through this Brazil defence. There's nothing for Alisson to have done yet in this game. Out towards the left now for Perisic. Perisic up against Antony. Looks to go down the line. Antony then gives him a little nudge, and it will be a goal kick. And Perisic then is just knocking it back towards Alisson so he can take it. I think Michael Oliver was worried that Perisic was going to have a little ding-dong with Antony there.
Yeah, Antony was trying to keep the ball away. I think it's actually good defending from Antony, getting back and putting the pressure on Perisic, forcing him to overrun the ball and for it to go out for a goal kick. As another Croatian change, he's the last, one of the last forwards in their squad list. Mislav Orsic is going to come on for Brozovic. So you cannot say that Croatia aren't going for this.
Yeah, they're definitely going for now. It's the kitchen sink being thrown at it. You've got Orsic, Budimir, Petkovic, Perisic, they're all on. Just need Marco Levaya now to come on.
Yeah, surprised why he hasn't come on. He scored against Canada, didn't he, early in the group stage? There was a substitute against Japan There's a knock that we're not aware of, and he's not actually available or fit enough really to feature. I'm not sure, but yeah, he hasn't been used as of yet, at least. And Croatia bringing on Orsic in the hope that they can get an equalising goal. But you mentioned with Budimir, only 1 goal in 16 caps. Orsic 1 in 24. They're not exactly prolific on the international stage.
No, they're not. There is still 1 change left for Brazil. They got the 6th change, with it being an extra time now. They've made 5. Yeah, strange one if Levi doesn't get on with their need for goals. It's a corner for Brazil, which they take short, and just holding possession out back with Fred. This is all Brazil need to do, is just knock the ball around a bit. Croatia do look sort of out on their feet at the moment as Neymar goes down, and Neymar wins a free kick, and Michael Oliver, a stern look at the Croatian player there, but it's exactly what Brazil need to do. You know, they're drawing fouls, they're winning free kicks, they're running down the clock.
They are, and it was Petkovic that took the bait there, couldn't resist, but dangling a leg in front of Neymar, he goes down and wastes another 30 seconds or so taking this free kick.
Yeah, Neymar's standing over it, and he shapes up like he was going to shoot, but he's never going to shoot, plays it short to the right. Oh dear, Anthony then, who just completely takes out the ball, but gets away with it because Brazil have won possession back. Long ball played down the right, header is won then by Perisic. It drops down towards the feet of Neymar, keeps it in, looks for Anthony, good slide challenge from Modric, and Gvardiol urged to go back towards his goalkeeper Livakovic, which he does. Less than 5 minutes of extra time to go then. Croatia 0, Brazil 1. Neymar strike the difference between the two sides. There's a long ball downfield, it's a diagonal one as well, but it's gone straight out of play. They look lost for ideas, Croatia. Like you've said a few times, they haven't felt like they're going to score all match.
No, plan A was to nullify Brazil and take this game to extra time and penalties. They weren't. Once they conceded the goal, they've got to go to plan B, and it's very difficult, even if you've got a plan B, C or D, to change up mid-game when you've been doing what you've been doing so effectively for so long. Yeah,
mistake here by Gvardiol as Fred is nearly thread through, but I tell you what, Gvardiol shows great pace to get back, put a slide challenge in. Lovren then completes the clearance up close towards halfway. Bit of head tennis now as it falls towards Modric. Good touch by him. Surely he's fouled there, but the referee waves play on, and now Croatia got into space down this left-hand side. There's room to run into here, maybe an opportunity into the area. It's cut back, then Petkovic with a shot, and into the left-hand corner, and Croatia are back on level terms. A deflected strike then, which has taken it away from Alisson into the left-hand side. Alisson's right. Croatia won, Brazil won. It's scrappy, but they will not care because Croatia are back on level terms.
Well, who saw that coming? Brilliant from Croatia on the counter-attack. I don't know why Brazil 1-0 up deep into the second period of extra time are so exposed defensively, but Croatia break forward. Orsic just on the field, driving into the penalty area. Can he pick the right ball? Yes, he can. He pulls it back to Petkovic, and Petkovic, he's looked a bit cumbersome at times since coming on, but he strikes the ball with his left foot towards goal, does what he needs to do, gets it on target, and it's Marquinhos, the Brazilian defender, trying to get a block, and it deflects off his thigh or his knee even, which diverts the ball, spins it away from Alisson, who at full stretch can't get there. You can't necessarily say on the balance of play Croatia deserve this equaliser, but for their guts, determination and defensive resilience, I find it hard to say that they don't, and it looks like we're going to be heading to penalties after all.
Yeah, deflection off Marquinhos. I also think Thiago Silva is slightly unsighted Alisson as well, so he can't. If Thiago Silva's not there, then Alisson sees that easier. He sees the deflection quicker, and he can probably save it, I think. But because Thiago Silva's slightly blocking his view, when he eventually moves out of the way, the ball is already close towards the corner. But like you, game management for Brazil. There's no need for them to have committed so many bodies forward there. They have. Croatia broke after there was a poor pass in the centre of the park, and then there was just not enough people wanting to come back and defend there for Brazil, and that is an issue of the game. And we said that 1-0 up, where they were in the second half of extra time, they were defending with 10 because Neymar wasn't defending. You take Neymar off and you bring someone defensive on for him, but they don't want to do that, and Croatia, I tell you what, might think they can go and get a winner.
They might, yeah, and the momentum is now with them, and full credit to Zlatko Dalic. Petkovic was booked for taking his shirt off in the celebration. I don't think he'll be worrying about that right now, but full credit is Zlatko Dalic. He threw on all these attacking plays. I know it's easy, he had to take a risk, they were going out, but he's still done it. He's made those changes, put the fresh legs on, taken off some of the more experienced players, and it's paid dividends.
Has paid dividends as well. We've got less than a minute and a half of this extra time to go. Well, what an enthralling end to the game. The first 90, pretty average. The last 30, pretty good to watch indeed, as Croatia won, Brazil won. Are we going to penalties? Croatia, they love a penalty shot, excuse me. They'll be happy to see it go to spot kicks, as all of the Croatia bench are pretty much off it as things stand.
Yeah, well, it'd be pretty hard to just sit there, I suppose. The nervous energy that must be coming from both benches now will be palpable, as a free kick given Croatia's way in the middle of the park, and Dejan Lovren and Neymar just both on the floor. You just see how much both teams have put into this game. We're in the 120th minute now, and yes, someone's going to be delighted at the end of these penalties. Someone's going to be heartbroken. It's anyone's guess now who's going to go through.
Yeah, is it just Brazil? I mean, they deserve to be 1-0 ahead, but the way they approached the second part of extra time, it wasn't great. It was like they were trying to shut up shop, but Brazil can't shut up shop, and they couldn't do it with some of the attacking players they had out there. As Croatia were coming forward now, shot from distance. Ooh, and Alisson watched that one go wide of his mark. I tell you what, it's Lovren who's had the effort. Heart in mouth for a moment there for the Brazil supporters.
Yeah, and if we are going to sneak a very dramatic late winner before penalties, it's going to be Croatia, isn't it? Brazil, they need to regroup. There's 2 minutes of time to be added on at the end of this second period of extra time. It's a lottery, a penalty shootout. It's 50-50 usually, but you can give it 51-52% in Croatia's favour now, just because they're the side that have dug in. They've got the momentum, the feel-good factor. Penalties was the best they could hope for 5 minutes ago. Brazil, it's their worst nightmare now.
Yeah, I don't know what Alisson's penalty save record is like, actually, as Guardiola's doing a bit of defensive work now to stop Anthony, who was then just barged off the side of the pitch by Perisic. Free kick is given. Might get away without a yellow card here. I mean, those two have been having a little niggle at each other, haven't they?
Yeah, there's not much love lost. Not sure when Tottenham play Manchester United after the season resumes, but that could be one to watch out for later in the domestic season. I feel like there was a bit of pent-up frustration from what's gone on the previous half an hour there from Perisic, and he is fortunate to have got away without a yellow.
Dangerous free kick out on that right-hand side, just in from the touchline, but it is a good opportunity to get a cross in here. Neymar standing over it. Is there a late sting in the tail? A later one than Croatia have had as Neymar steps up, right-footed, decent ball into the box, and that's headed up into the air by Lovren, still not properly cleared. Marquinhos going for it, then a shot comes in, saved by Livakovic, a diving header off the floor by Guardiola. Now it's Brazil who have it on the left, although the referee has spotted something, so it's a free kick to Croatia with 30 seconds of the two added on to go. But the initial save from Livakovic was a good one.
It really was, and let's not forget about the important saves he made, particularly during the second half of the regulation 90. Thiago Silva on the half volley. It's a save you'd expect Livakovic to make, but kept his concentration. Positionally was first class, and was able to get the stop, and Croatia scrambled it clear.
Well, what an enthralling end to the game. The first quarter-final of the World Cup in Qatar. Croatia won, Brazil won. We've had the 2 minutes of extra time, or added time on top of extra time now, and the referee has blown for the end of extra time now. They can't be separated. Croatia won, Brazil won. We're going to penalties.
We are heading to penalties. Croatia won, Brazil won at the end of 120 minutes of action at the Education City Stadium. Brazil looked like they'd won it during the first period of extra time with Neymar's superb goal, but Bruno Petkovic, his deflected effort in the second period with just 3 minutes of the 120 remaining means Croatia are taking this game to penalties, and it is anyone's guess which one of these two will be the first side through to this year's World Cup semi-finals. Join us for penalties shortly. We are heading to who also took the first penalty in their shootout success over Japan in the round of 16, is the man with the ball in his hands. Most people would say there's an advantage to taking first, so a minor psychological victory for Croatia. Michael Oliver is just having a word with the respective goalkeepers Alisson and Dominik Livakovic, which is delaying proceedings for Vlasic, who be desperate to get on with this, and he's standing there ball in hand, and he's been forced to wait.
Yeah, I mean, surely the keepers know, but like, just don't come off your line before the ball is being kicked. There you go, fine.
Yeah.
They know the rules.
It's it's an infuriating rule for me as well, which will probably save the debate for another day. But I find it very harsh that a goalkeeper gets penalised when he's a millimetre off his goal line. He's already got a difficult enough job trying to save a penalty, but it looks like we are now ready. Vlasic, right-footed, the man playing for Torino in Serie A on loan from West Ham United. Can he give Croatia the advantage? Right-footed against Alisson, straight down the middle. Alisson dives to his right. Croatia scored the first penalty of this shootout and lead Brazil 1-0.
Heart and mouth moment there, a little bit for Vlasic. Bet when that came off his foot, because it was quite high, but solid penalty in the end. Alisson, he went to his right-hand side, and Vlasic straight down the middle. So they have the lead, Croatia, and I like the fact that Modric chose to go first, because if they get the penalty, the first penalty, and they score it like they have, it puts the pressure on Brazil, and it's Rodrigo who's stepping up now to take this one. 21-year-old Rodrigo of Real Madrid. He looked good when he came on. He was lively in the game, but can he score from the penalty spot? It's a very, saying straight run up. He goes to his left, steps up, right-footed, and it's saved by Livakovic. Oh, it's a good height for the Croatian goalkeeper, who goes down to his left-hand side, and he makes the save, and it's 1-0 to Croatia.
What a hero Dominik Livakovic is becoming. He saved 3 of the 4 penalties Japan had in the shootout in the round of 16, and he saves that one. It's not a great penalty from Rodrigo, rather telegraphs it towards Livakovic's left-hand side. It's a good height for the goalkeeper, but take nothing away from him. He makes the stop, and it is advantage Croatia, as Lovro Majer, one of the players that came on as a substitute during extra time, that will step up and take this second Croatia penalty that would hammer home the advantage and leave Brazil's participation hanging by a thread at these World Cup finals. Majer, left footer, steps up against Alisson, and again, like Vlasic, sends it straight down the middle. Alisson dives to his right-hand side. Croatia lead this shootout by 2-0.
Almost got that one there, Alisson. He hung out the leg and tried to just raise his left leg right at the end when he thinks, oh, he's close then to getting the boot to it. Clever though, because that's 2 down the middle. Now Alisson will be thinking, oh, do I make the dive or not? And then I think the next player for Croatia to take it, they might go for a corner, as it's Casemiro who is stepping up then for Brazil. The Manchester United man, can he score from the penalty spot and get Brazil on the board? If he misses, well, it's a long way to go. Casemiro steps up, right-footed! Oh, it's a lovely penalty into the bottom left corner as we look at it, and it's 2-1.
Well, it takes something special to beat Livakovic from 12 yards, and that's brilliant from Casemiro. Drives it into the side netting. Really clinical penalty. You could see he was looking at the goalkeeper as he was running up to the ball. Full stretch, Livakovic almost gets there, but it's a quality penalty when Brazil needed it most.
Yeah, really, really good penalty. I'm wondering who's taking it next for Croatia.
Yeah, it's going to be Luka Modric to step up. No surprise there that he's one of the first names on this list. Was substituted before the penalty shootout against Japan. What can arguably the most experienced player on this field do? Can he restore Croatia's 2-goal lead in this shootout? Modric against Alisson, steps up and he sends the goalkeeper the wrong way. Alisson dives to his right for the first 2 penalties. He goes left this time, but Modric sends it into the opposite corner.
Yeah, and he doesn't move. He tries to stay in the middle for quite a long time there, and again, I think that's the fact he was beaten the first 2 penalties down the middle. This time he's tried to stay up as long as he could, and he's not really dived to the left there, has he? He's kind of just fell. It's a good penalty from Modric, and definitely think that is in the head of Alisson, was the fact he was beaten down the middle for the first 2, and then this one he's tried to stay sort of in the middle for as long as he could, and Modric's gone to the corner. We're going to see Pedro step up now for Brazil. Can he find the back of the net and keep Brazil in sort of, at least in distance, as he steps up? Little stuttering run, right-footed, and he puts it into the back of the net. Well, that's composed. I mean, we've seen some some awful penalty techniques in this World Cup. That was probably one of them, but he puts it in the back of the net.
Yeah, it's brave from a player winning just his 4th cap. He was waiting for Livakovic to dive. The goalkeeper stood big for a long, long time, and he just rolled it the opposite way. And confidence from Pedro, and he's got the job done, which is the most important thing, as we now have the 4th Croatian penalty. It's Orsic, another one of the substitutes, the man that set up Bruno Petkovic's equalising goal, who's going to strike this one. Mislav Orsic of Dinamo Zagreb. Can he score for Croatia? He steps up right-footed and it's brilliant. It's into the bottom corner, into the side netting, like the Casemiro penalty we saw for Brazil. And Croatia are 4 from 4. Brazil have to score.
Brazil have to score. That is a superb penalty. That's even more in the side netting than Casemiro's was. I mean, Alisson dives full stretch and he cannot get anywhere near that. Brilliant penalty, and the pressure is on. Is Neymar going to step up? No, he's not. It's going to be Marquinhos. Is this Neymar leaving himself till number 5? But it could be over before he can even take a spot kick. But it's down to Marquinhos. Can he find the back of the net and keep Brazil in the World Cup? If he misses, Croatia are through and Brazil are out. Marquinhos, it's quite a short run up, very central as well. Steps up, stuttering run, right-footed. Oh, and he hits the post, and Brazil are out. It hit the post and cannoned away. Celebrations now, they start. Men, it's a miss from Marquinhos to go with the miss from Rodrigo. Croatia have won 4-2 on penalties. They are through to the semi-finals of the World Cup, where they will take on the Netherlands or Argentina, and Brazil, in their quest for a record-extending 6th trophy, are out.